Welcome one and all to Squid Junction 93. It is a very chill Saturday, as you can tell by this music. I am Frostix. I'm joined by Sasu here. And going into this tournament, Sasu, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Like you said, this is a very chill Saturday. We've got a few teams signed up here, but nonetheless, we're gonna have a fun time, I think, here on the Squid Junction. And speaking of fun, I don't know if I've told you
Hmm.
about how I feel about this map mode. We have Klassenerhalt versus Mia and Stara have beef, I guess.
Oh, what's going on with what's going on with them now?
Uh,
Yeah,
I've been told they have beef,
I
I
see.
guess.
I see. Read the name and weep, I guess. But you said something along the lines of talking about our first map mode of the sets. This will be zones on Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, if Zone's Barnacle has one hater, it is me. If it has no haters, I am dead. So really
Oh man.
excited to see that, and even more excited to see these very interesting loadouts we have here, of course. A custom blaster on the side of Klassenerhalt, up against not just a junior, but of note, I'd argue, those Glugas.
Definitely so. Glugadu is going to be a pretty interesting pick from me and Stara. Have beef already. The carbon's going down. The Glugas are going down. The junior is right up on that plaid doing some battle junior activities, but they will be going down to that custom blaster piloted by Klassenerhalt. But if anything, I think now is the time for Klassenerhalt to start holding the zone, especially since me and Stara have beef, have gone 278 still. That is probably a lead that is definitely takeable, like we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I think Klassenerhalt doing a really good job of taking that plat, making it way harder for Mia and Star to move up there. And as I always mention, it could be very hard. It's funny. I was just about to say neither of these teams can afford to wipe because it's so incredibly difficult to get back into that mid. You have multiple fights you have to take. Of course, getting off your own plat into that court, you got to take that, and then to your plat, as you see, they're getting, especially with that junior popping that bubble. But right now, they're gonna have to paint over if they're gonna secure this, and they do it. So all those fights secured, and finally, Mia and Stara back in that mid.
And they definitely needed to take back that zone. Klassenerhalt was almost within knockout range. They got to 14. Already there's one down on each team. The Carbon and the Headit on both teams are going down. I think Ichijeko was trying to make their way out of their spawn, and Mia and Sara have beef, are still trying to hold this down, but it's only the Galuga as well as this Carbon on the scene already. Clover's going down. It's Mia sucks, and I think that's the Galuga's Compleat just trying to at least hold it down mid here. Golda's Crab is going to get cancelled by this Headed, but Ichideko's Kraken is nothing to scoff at. Clover's going to have to face the consequences of that. But now they're really deep out of position for a 96 here, but the timer is still going down here. The zone is in neutral. This 96 will be going down to the Headed, but the Booyah Bomb from Compleat will keep the zone into neutral, will allow Clover to take out Pyro and allow me and Star have beef to stay in control of the zone. And they may be able to take back lead. There it is.
Yeah, Klassenerhalt, their last sort of bastion going down there. Splashdown being enough to flip over that zone, just barely cheesing zone. Two members up on either side, so right out of the clutches of defeat, Klassenerhalt is able to paint over that and stop that. You see a very hefty penalty put there on Mia and Stara of 70, which they've yet to get started on. But right now, I have to imagine Klassenerhalt is just spending their time really taking the space and making sure they don't get pushed out. But as we can see, they've made a healthy way through their own penalties. So if they're able to get the appropriate picks that they need and keep this zone, which they're fighting for currently, they may be able to just eat through these points and possibly get the knockout. But not looking good with two of their members down.
Definitely so. It's only Pyro as well as I think that's Gold with the Crab, but the Crab has popped out. Pyro has taken out Clover. Me and Zar have beef are control the zone, but it's not for long. Klassenerhalt will pop the Crab, and Golda is just firing on all cylinders, going to be able to take out Compliat here, and this zone is once again in control of Klassenerhalt, but they still have 44 extra penalty points to go with. But with that wipeout, this will allow them to once again eat away at those penalty points, like you were mentioning earlier, Sasu. Ichideko is almost at Kraken once more here. They are notoriously known for being able to wreak havoc with that 96 Pyros, trying to hold down the line, and trying to keep me and Star have beef within their own courts like they are having a trial. Pancake is sitting, lying in wait, but the Booyah Bomb is coming out from Comfort. The Kraken is coming out from Ichideko here. Pancake is going down, and now me and Star have beef are once again in control of the zone here. There's going to be around 47 seconds left on this clock. They're still within this lead. Klassenerhalt need to make a move, and they need to make it with only 40 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, but they are well poised and in good positions to possibly do so. 2 members going down on Mia and Star have beef, I guess. Golda coming out of that crab and getting out of their end leg as well. I think only one last member kind of gunned down there. 2v1 is going to mean that Mia and Stara have beef, I guess, making their way back to their plat, which Klassenerhalt is doing a really strong job of pressuring and making very difficult for them to approach, especially with this Kraken being popped. But quite frankly, all of the members of Mia and Stara are still up, and they are capping over the zone with this Booyah able to go over it, and with a really weird stall, I think, on that timer, they're able to cap over and win the game there.
I will be completely honest, looking at that Booyah came in right in the nick of time, just right before, I think, the timer hit 0. I think Complete managed to get that Booyah Bomb right onto the zone, managing to get it out of neutral into the control of Mia and Stara. Have beef, that'll allow them to get the first win of the game, even when Klassenerhalt were actually pretty aggressive and had multiple wipeouts to their name. We saw one of them earlier on here, but I think me and Stara have beef have a lot of good painting options at their disposal. They have of course the head, which is probably the more, I think, paint heavy. I'm not sure if it's the more paint heavy cooler option, but I think it's like it. I think with Pencil's nerfs, Headit has just been a little bit more I guess useful for outputting paint. They also sport a junior as well as that Gluga with Booyah Bomb as a really good, maybe just deciding factor
of displacement, especially getting everyone out of that zone. I think as a Headit player myself, paint output definitely not too shabby on an edit. They are very strong, pales compared to a pencil, but not only does edit have really great paint, it also has that aggression that pencil doesn't necessarily have due to its range. So they can get that paint down and they can walk forward and sort of gun people down as they do so. But we are going to be heading into Ship Shape Tower, which
Oh, wow, okay. This will
yeah,
be definitely interesting because we saw how aggressive Klassenerhalt were within that zones match. They were always willing, as soon as they find the opportunity, they were always willing to go up to plat, maybe even pressure into court here. And I definitely want to consider Ichideko usually does sport 96 Deco, which has that Kraken, which is good for at least maintaining space on the tower.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, you brought up that aggression because honestly, this map mode is all about aggression. This tower mode can be extremely snowbally. Once you hit that second checkpoint, you're basically looking at the dub. So both of these teams are definitely going to be jockeying to possibly get an early lead here and get that second checkpoint to really lock down their resources. But already you're going to see several members of Klassenerhalt going down, as well as a really well-placed Zuka and a double from Clover. Wow, really killing that on that carbon deco. So you see Klassenerhalt kind of on the back foot here as Mia and Stara just kind of bulldoze through this first checkpoint.
They have made it to the first checkpoint, but I feel like the first checkpoint seems to be a general easier thing to do here. It's almost like basically just a consolation checkpoint here. As Mia and Stara have beef, will immediately start backing out here. Already their head is down, but Clover's going to get the jump. Not yet onto Ichideko, as they will pop Kraken here. As maybe in a sense of a panic, but they're chasing down Clover, chasing down Complete here. Complete will be going down. That's no Booyah Bomb for me and Star have beef, but already Golda will be going down as well. That's Azuka coming out from Clover. Piro is trying to maybe get a, I guess, an angle onto him. Ichideko is trying to play within the ledges of the bridge here alongside that splash ball that can give them the cover necessary. Already Golda will pop another crab. Mia Sucks will pop out another bubbler, and Piro will pop another Kraken here. Once again, we're back to a mid-fight.
Yeah, honestly, I think that Kraken definitely very defensive and a good call, but with 3 members going down for Mia and Star, I think that is a delayed wipe. So now it is going to be time for Class and a Halt to really quickly pick up that consolation checkpoint of the first checkpoint on that left there, put out a wall, put out some protection, but a Booyah kind of displacing them out of Mia and Stara, but it's just not going to be enough. I think 2 down on either side is going to make this a bit of a deadlock, but we're going to be seeing probably a change of hands of the lead. There it is. And right now, all the members of Class and a Halt really organizing, especially with this Kraken being popped, to see what they can do to ensure that they get to that second checkpoint and cleanly. That is a wipe on Mia and Stara, so their path to that second checkpoint has gotten all the easier.
That being said, though, the tower did back off since no one on Class and Halt decided to stay on tower once they got past it. Already, though, Mia Sucks will be going down. That's no cooler for Mia and Star have beef. Pancake is just trying to play within the ledges, which is what blasters can do as an AoE weapon. Golda is pretty far out of position as the rest of Class and Halt have jumped back to their spawn after claiming their lead. Probably a good move to do if you are this pushed far back already. Clover will pop another Zuka, but there's a splashdown ready from Pancake, and a Booyah Bomb being charged from Complete Wolf with a Booyah Bomb, but Pancake will splash them down here. They have Clover in their sights as well. Clover's going down. Ichideko's in a duel with Mia Sucks. They're going down in a trade here. Class and Halt, as well as Mia and Star, just trying to clean up this fight, ensure that Mia and Star have beef, cannot get anywhere past that first checkpoint. And with Complete going down once again, this tower is cruising all the way back down onto mid. I think Golda was trying to push onto that headed, but Mia Sucks will be able to take them down as well as Piro. That's no soda for Class and Halt here. Ichideko is halfway towards Kraken. This will definitely be something that Mia and Star have to watch out for. Golda will pop the crab with more firepower on the side of Class and Halt. I think that's the bubble being popped by Mia and Star. Once again, it's still a mid-fight, and it's just kind of a numbers war, trying to see who can whittle down the enemy team's forces. That way, the I guess the push to at least that first checkpoint, or the first checkpoint area now that it's been broken, won't be too much of a hassle.
Yeah, but you see 2 members of Mia and Stara have beef are going down, which them being on the defense right now, they certainly don't need. And especially with this crab being on the tower, that is going to be super difficult to walk in on. You see 2 more of their members going down. Piro taking that tower at the proverbial sort of end of the game, which is that second checkpoint. They do get picked off. No shocker there. This is pretty difficult to break through, but I think with this splashdown, not going to be enough, going to result in a wipe on Class and a Halt, but with less than 30 seconds left, I think they've basically collected exactly what it is that they feel they need in order to win this game, that second checkpoint. So I think Mia and Stara have beef, I guess, definitely have their work cut out for them. You see a drop there in the final 10 seconds as they move forward. Ooh, Piro really going down super easy, and 2 of their members from Class and a Halt being down. However, I think that they have what is essentially a GG Kraken. So if this 96, which they do pop, is able to get on tower, I think, quite frankly, that's just a game. Whoa,
Yeah.
what an explosion there on tower.
Yeah, exactly. I think 2 members went down to that Kraken vortex, but Ichideko popped out here. They basically set the terms and conditions as soon as they got to that 10 score. It forced Mia and Stara to have beef, I guess, to just to cruise through the entirety of Shipshape, go from their base all the way to Class and Halt's base here. And it practically was a tour-die mission since Ichideko had that GG Kraken, like you were saying, clean double from Clover there. Even when Zuka's AoE got a little bit nerfed in that last update, that is honestly just has been a while ago recently, I guess, if you take time into consideration. Wow. Get that
If
in
you
your head,
take,
huh?
time into consideration, there you see a wipe, but I think a wipe that came a little too late, having passed that second checkpoint. Of course, not literally the end of the game, but proverbially so due to the snowbally nature. But it all comes down to this in terms of this set. We are going to be heading to
Oh.
Rainmaker Scorch, and we know some funky things can go down on this map mode.
Definitely so. That first checkpoint area is just so tightly packed in, and it doesn't get any wider, even if it does seem a little bit wider, but it's just that entire area that's leading into the second checkpoint is just so close quarters here to the point where it feels awkward to fight in as a frontline player myself.
Mm. Yeah, I have to imagine we're going to some of the key points of this game are going to be the edit plays. As an
Mhm.
edit player myself, I think that you have really good shred on that Rainmaker, and you can do some cleanup in that elbow area, that choke where the checkpoint is. Not to mention perhaps that Kraken. I think, like you said, this is a very tightly packed place where that first check is. And even if they're running it to the final goal, having a Kraken on hand to essentially escort the Rainmaker holder, or even clear a Rainmaker holder who is not on your team, I think
Mhm.
can be super useful. So they're definitely going to have to look out for that from Mia and Stara's team.
Kraken Royale being both the wall breaker and the wall piercer in a sense. I'm just saying the same word twice if you look up wall breaker in a thesaurus. But here is the tiebreaker. We're still working with almost the same comps. That is V-Roller. On the side of me and Star have beef, I guess. And now Woomph is sporting a 96 deco of their own.
Yeah, we're looking at the mirror match here. I think maybe they just had me open in the other tab and they said, "So true, bestie. We're gonna need that Kraken if we're gonna get through this." Of course, an early pick there on Mia and Stara on their Gluga player going down. However, when it comes to this map mode, what you're gonna see is these two teams getting their picks off early and then deciding to push. You see a bit of an exit there to get out of the path of that very dangerous Kraken. But with that being a trade right now, I think it's going to be time for Klassenhall to maybe get a free check if they play their cards right.
And that they did. They had the ideal hand to get to at least to that first checkpoint. But here comes the Kraken on the side of me and Stara have beef. Woomph is zeroing in on Klassenhalt. They're moving into the pit. But that one is jumping out here. They almost went down. That was deadly close to whoever that was. But now there's two members down on Klassenhalt. There's at least three people of Mia and Stara have beef in mid. They're cruising. They're trying to at least get out of mid. But a intercept from, I think that was Ichideko, will at least stop me and Stara at mid. Woomph is once again trying to get through the bubble here already. There's a Booyah Bomb being charged from Mia and Stara. The crab has been popped from Class in a halt here. Mia Sucks will be going down to Pancake. Same thing with Completes going down to Ichideko. Class and Halt do not want this Rainmaker to go down, but once again, they're still not letting it onto that first checkpoint.
Yeah, they are just savage. They know that, quite frankly, when it comes to Rainmaker, once you get that first check, it is like you have scaled a mountain, because after that, all you have to do really, pick up the Rainmaker, get a few steps, and the Rainmaker path will deal you a bunch of points on the board. So by stopping them from getting that check, stalling out a little bit, biding their time, they've definitely done a great service in terms of their score. Clover kind of overextending there, but that's what you got to do when you're on Carbon, but unfortunately not going to work out for them in this case. Three members going down from Mia and Stara have beef, I guess, that being a delayed wipe. So now Class in a Halt making their way into this court area, eking out those points and bringing it down to a clean 29.
I think they're still going though, Sasu, as Pancake Splashdown not only breaks the barrier, but clears up a path for Class in a Halt to make it to 8. And meanwhile, Golda sitting, lying in wait. What? They don't get rolled over. They're striking on Woomph, and the Rainmaker has been stopped once more here. That Rainmaker is still within Mia and Stara's base.
Booyah indeed. A masterful gambit from the side of Krasnodar Halt, kind of staying there and making sure they've wasted a bit of their time by downing them from behind and making them deal with these dualies. So they are still down to an 8 while they're still trying to get it out of their spawn there. But honestly, that could have been way more disastrous. I very recently saw a game where they were able to be back capped because of someone lying in wait like that. So despite the fact that this was a sneaky play, really good play there, and as I'm speaking, a wipeout has been had. Honestly, Class in a Halt has not come here to joke around. They get that wipe. They are now waiting a little bit on that top left to stall it out, and they have all the time in the world because Mia and Stara down to 69, nice, but not as nice as an 8.
That being said, though, Me and Star have popped out their specials. Woomph is moving in with that Kraken, forcing the Rainmaker holder to drop down back into mid. Ichideko has a Kraken of their own, and the Rainmaker holder Pyro will be going down once again in those side pits here. That's another very long trek within this one last minute of the match. That being said, though, Klausner Halls have a very, very strong lead, 8-69 here. Mia and Star are once again in a situation where they need to knock out in order to take this win back. Pancake is, I think, trying to get a splashdown. Here it comes. They will be able to take out Woof, and Complete will be going down as well, at least before throwing down that Booyah Bomb. There's 2 members down on both teams. Ichideko is trying to get some shots onto Miyasucks, but that Tacticaler will be blocking some shots and will allow them to stay alive. It's only Golda left, but Golda will be able to take that Complete with the Rainmaker here. Maybe even Miyasucks too, but Golda will be going down. There's 17, 16, 15 seconds left on the clock for Mia and Star have beef to take this game back here. They need to make this practically work into overtime, but when there's 2 members down, I'm not sure if it's possible for me and Star because the Rainmaker's already gone down and no one will be able to pick it up.
Yep, going down at the worst possible time is going to mean we see no overtime, and that is going to be a very dominant victory there for Class in a Halt. Down all the way to 8. Really strong job.
Oh, definitely so. When they pulled that sneaky dually play, I felt like Mia and Stara have beef, where they basically just had their fates were sealed as soon as that roller passed by that dually here. We may be able to catch it on that instant replay, courtesy of course, Dorian, our special streamer, and just like you said, very dominant Rainmaker match from Klassner Halt.
Yeah, also definitely very fun to see those Krakens. You see a very unlikely jump out there at the last second, and I think that me and Star have beef, I guess, never actually getting that first check due to Class in a Halt not only being dominant during the game, but having a rock solid defense. You see, they tried and tried again to get there. It didn't happen. You see there, Class in a Halt able to eke out some critical points, pick it up again, and then immediately jump before being shot down. Golda, the GOAT, booyahing for us on that stream there, as you could see before they ended up flanking. There you see Class in a Halt going down in that Rainmaker free zone, but yeah, just really, really strong, but also really fun gameplay. Glad we got to chill and see this one for sure.
Definitely so. We love to see Kraken every now. Well, Kraken does have its definite definite spot within, I guess, this current meta here. It has its uses, like you said. It was not only the wall breaker, but also the wall itself here. Finally found the other side of the coin that I was looking for before the match started.
Yeah, it was like they are both the wall and the wall breaker. Definitely super useful special. I must boo tomato at the vulnerable special because is it useful? Yes. Do I want to play against it? No. But these other teams will have to keep playing. But while they do so, we're gonna take a little bit of a break before we watch that happen, Frostix. So y'all don't go anywhere.
Of course, yeah, there's more Squid Junction coming up after a brief break. Anymore.
I I feel like we're kind of breaking the meta here because I feel like the whole Subway Surfers like meta slash joke is that like uh the people, the podcast you're listening to are talking about something else, so you have something visual to kind of keep your eyes on, but we are like discussing the Subway Surfer
I've
visual.
seen so much videos that are like are just making fun of those where
I've
they
seen a few, but
initially
I've never actually seen someone very seriously put Subway Surfers
oh
like
I
on
hmm,
screen. Have you seen that?
yeah, unfortunately
What are you
my feed,
watching?
well the feeds get I don't know how algorithms work sometimes. The next thing you know, I see Subway Surfers gameplay beneath two people talking about the most like the worst Marvel movie theory I've ever heard.
Oh my God. I think the content that I watch trusts that they can I suppose keep our attention. Regard they just like play B-roll. And I just look at that, I guess. So I'm just like, uh-huh. I'm looking at the stock B-roll. They're like, oh, you know, there were experiments, and then it's like some guy with a beaker, and I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Like
Yes, I see the stock footage. Thank you.
yeah,
This
that's enough visual simulation, I guess, for my old brain. That was like, I would actually maybe find Subway Surfers a little bit distracting. I'd be like,
no,
wait, like, can I have some relaxing B-roll footage to look at?
Sasuke,
This is,
I'm going to say this. There have been times where I legitimately get too distracted from like by the gameplay to the point where I need to rewind a bit to like I guess just to
no
like
way.
get the context of what's going on. It's like, wait, shoot, I was watching them.
I was just
I
so
was so
locked in on
focused.
this terrible gameplay. How did that
Yeah,
guy get hit by the train?
this guy got hit by the train. This guy lost his like the guy lost the skateboard again. It's like there's no way.
Oh my
Now I
God.
don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Now I have to rewind to the start of the video. Sometimes it
Oh my
happens like three
gosh.
times. It's like I get distracted once, and then another time, and then another time. I'm cooked. What? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
listen, this is I myself I'm a millennial, right? So I feel like at my age, I don't know, I'm
Okay.
fine to just like multitask and like I'll put on the video and fully just do something else. I'll go
Oh,
sketch, I'll go but finally for you Subway Surfer watchers, maybe open it up in another tab because we are going to be fully focused on this next set, SHDL versus Klassenerhalt, who were just on stream if you are still watching from our first set. But we're going to be looking at Rainmaker Undertow this game. And given Klassenerhalt's performance in the last game we saw, that was Rainmaker, excited to see how this one shakes out.
definitely. So, one thing I always tend to see on Undertow Rainmaker is just so much fight, so much action happening on that right side checkpoint area going in to that final checkpoint. It's very, once again, it's really close quarters. And if we remember anything from that Rainmaker Scorch game, perhaps Klassener Halt have this in the bag. That being said, they are going up against the Weekly Warriors Avengers with SHDL, with Synapse, Henlo, Dat Kid, and Lexi.
Yeah, Klassenerhalt, as much as they are an aggressive, strong team, they certainly have their work cut out for them. They are surely nothing to sneeze at. I think they are probably our first seeds. I won't say probably. I'm not going to check, but I will confidently say that they are our
Yes,
first
they are.
seeds.
Yes,
Uh,
they are.
and I think a few of these members in particular are fresh out of the Ludi playoffs today from DivX. So,
Only from DivX. Insane.
yes. So this is quite the team to be going up against. I only have to wonder, Lexi, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a pencil out of her. Yeah, and because I think, does Synapse play pencil? I'm a fool.
I think yeah, I think Synapse plays Doolies if I remember
Henlo on
correctly.
Wiper?
Henlo and Wiper.
Yes!
This is Henlo and Wiper, of course. This is Henlo we're talking about. And wow, Golda has now switched to Tetradoolies. That'll be
And
interesting.
that kid is on what some argue to
Block.
be one of, if not the worst weapons in the game with the Neo Clash. So we will see how that works out or doesn't, because it seems as though they have decided to effectively not do anything. Perhaps they are AFK, or this is just for style points. But in the meantime, their teammates certainly putting in the work to see if they can get these splats. Two of them going down, so perhaps it's not going to be as easy as letting Dat Kid just stay in their own. Finally dropping down there, realizing they have to get serious, and that Class and a Halt is playing for keeps.
And if anything, I almost forgot their pickup name for a second. SHDL have immediately collapsed in on Klassener Halt, and now they are just starting to at least try to drive them out of that first checkpoint area. Synapse is trying to move around here. Dat Kid is moving in as well. They've finally woken up and are ready to go. Henlo will be able to hammer down that Rainmaker bubble, and will be able to take out Ichideko as well here. Henlo activities. But if anything, Klassener Halt have picked up the Rainmaker once more, but I think SHDL just really do not want them to get anywhere past mid here.
Yeah, of course, we have Henlo with that Rainmaker pickup. I think that they've decided to take it left. We'll see if they're able to appropriately pick off the members of Class and a Halt. It's not going to happen. 3 of those members going down, Dat Kid being the only one left, resulting in a wipe as they go down. So, you know, SHDL, extremely strong members here, but Class and a Halt is really keeping them in check because they currently have the lead, and 3 minutes in, we're going to see if they can keep it.
Yeah, and now we still have to beat 62 already. We're going to see the cooler come out from this headed here. They're trying to fire off onto Pyro. Pyro will be going down, but Henlo is down on the side of SHDL, and Synapse is lying. Synapse is lying in wait here, trying to match Golda's energy here. And speaking of Golda, they're going to be going down, and now Synapse is trying to match Ichideko's energy, popping the Kraken, sending it straight up to Class and Halt's base. But Pancake has something to say about it here. They're not letting Henlo get that checkpoint. Just like Scorch Gorge Sasu.
Yeah, we were talking about their offense, but once again, their defense is just rock solid. They are denying them that check. Neither team has gotten the check yet, as you can see. 2 members going down on SHDL is going to put this check a little bit open for them as they come forward. But of course, Pyro being very careful there and able to dunk it, getting that first check. So even if they do go down, which they are not, all 4 of them still up, while 3 members of SHDL are down, into 3 more members. They just keep mowing them down. Of course, with that little sort of strut there, they are able to get down to 31. So now members of SHDL, I think that's Henlo going down as the wiper. They eke out a few more points down to 24, but with one of their members still up, that's going to be the end of the push, I think.
It's still a very strong push, pushing it all the way to 24. That's at least within that final checkpoint area here. SHDL have their work cut out for them. They need to, first of all, break that checkpoint, as the Rainmaker will reset onto mid. SHDL is now fueled on Soda. The Kraken is coming out from Synapse. Henlo has a hammer lying in wait here, but that headed has gone down. Pancake is zeroing in on their targets, so it will be going down to Henlo's Wiper here. Of course, Wiper has a lot of object damage to its name here, and could be able to break that barrier unless Henlo goes down, Synapse has gone down, Gold is down as well, but Class and Halt do have the numbers advantage, but SHDL does have an Ultra Stamp that could be their own wall breaker of their own. That's without mentioning SHDL's Kraken of their own.
Yeah, and Henlo has that hammer online, which is going to give them the free check there, but not before 3 of their own members going down. I think that is Synapse, the only member still up, sort of organizing and going back, holding that space to make sure that their team can go back in here. A Kraken is done by Synapse, but I think they're not able to get up there. That is a Rainmaker free zone, and it is one for a reason. Of course, that number does go down by a lot, but as you can see, we only have about 10 seconds left, so Golda trying to run out the time there, gonna go down, but with 2 of their members up, this is going to be the last push in OT for SHDL, and it's just not going to materialize because they immediately go down, causing an upset in this first game, giving it to Class and Halt.
Yeah, Class and Halt are just hot off the presses, and their tempo is still going. They're going to be able to take that first game away from the #1 set SHDL. Very, very impressive. Once again, they're still playing that dominative Rainmaker, being both the sword and the shield, being able to at least being able to stop SHDL from getting that first checkpoint, but also it's like once again in maybe a similar vein to that Scorch Gorge match, just cinch out even like a lot more points within their push. They got to 24 and then basically just needed to play defense all game.
Yeah, I think that it's funny because this is round 2, but already we're seeing sort of a clash of the titans with these 2 teams here. Both of them definitely very strong, but I have to imagine after a game like that, we're going to be seeing Dat Kid switching off of the Clash Neo to something a little bit more fitting of this map mode, which is going to make it all the more harder on Class and Halt. So we will be making our way over to Clam's crab leg, and
crab leg, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, this is very interesting. But I will say, as much as Class and Halt did a fantastic job in that last game, I think one thing they're particularly going to have to be wary of is Henlo on that Wiper. I think not only is he a strong player, of course you have Synapse as well, but not the strongest Kraken map. We might be seeing a change there due to all of the greats, but in particular, Henlo of course has that Ultra Stamp, so he will be able to kind of swish to make their way up that ramp to the basket and possibly pop that Ultra Stamp and just chuck it at whoever's in the grades.
Not to mention during their last set against me and Star Half Beef, I guess, they had a little bit of difficulty dealing with Clover on the Carbon Deco here. Another weapon in a similar vein to Wiper, where it prefers to flank, prefers to be very upfront and aggressive, and if there's anyone that knows about being... what is this? Whoa!
Wait, screen! The screen one?
Okay,
wow.
Enough talk about Henlo and Wiper. Let's discuss these comps. First of all, Dat Kid is on Zipcaster Octobrush, and we're seeing the pencil come out from Lexi. Meanwhile, on Class and Halt, we're seeing Hydra. We're seeing Hydra, and we're seeing NZAP.
Yeah, of course you've got to have that NZAP because their backline is not running cooler like a regular pen, so that of course taking up the place so you don't have an edit in double splatling. But of note, of course, is that this is the Hydra, particularly with screen, which makes sense because putting up a screen is going to make it infinitely harder to push up from wherever you're trying to go. Of course, you have already on that top right, that is Lexi, whose name I think maybe in not Morse, what is it, Braille, and you can just throw that to box off whoever. But already we have SHDL getting that getting that power clam in, going down to 77. Often you want a push down to 60, but just enough to get this game going.
Definitely so here. SHDL was managing to at least thrive a little while, at least not get a push, at least at a measly 80 here. And Lexi is just commanding the greats here, taking use of the high ground. Henlo's in a precarious situation, being forced to jump out after that splashdown from that blaster here. Of course, splashdown, commands a lot of presence, but you know what else commands a lot of presence? Hydra on high ground, but already the blaster's going down, Ichideko's going down, and Dat Kid is just moving in and out of the backline. Just what Brush can do, maybe more so Ink Brush, but don't count out Octobrush. But if anything, SHDL is just perhaps doesn't know how to deal with the amount of presence that Screen has.
Yeah, honestly, Screen very rare to be seeing in these parts. Of course, a lot of people don't even bother getting to learn Screen weapons. There's too high of a chance that you're going to go up against a team that does not allow Screen. Not to mention, just people would rather maybe run the other squeezer, right? So there's not a lot of high-level choices. You're not going to see a lot of top-level players on something like a Hydra. Of course, their Hydra going down just as I say that, but 2 members down on SHDL. Right now, I think both teams just doing a lot of scrapping. You see, like, practically no climb economy. Yeah, I was gonna say practically no clam economy, which is kind of still true. I believe that is their pity clam, but you see Lexi getting a fantastic pick on that Hydra that was holding that clam, so that clam very likely to expire under her watchful eye as they get ready to push, and she gets a triple, setting her team up for possibly another push here on this basket.
That being said, though, Henlo has gone down, but Ichideko has gone down inside of Klassenerhalt. Pancake, though, once again making use of those grades. That being said, the damage has been dealt. SHDL scoring another power clam into Klassenerhalt's base, but I think that's the only thing that they are going to do, as Synapse will be going down. Once again, it's up to Lexi as well as Dat Kid to defend an oncoming push from Klassenerhalt. That's another pity clam in their wake here, and I think Klassenerhalt just needs to start building enough clams to start making a worthwhile push, as there's going to be around 1 minute left in the match. Very, very soon, Ichideko will pop the Kraken. They have Synapse in their sight. Lexi still with the watchful eye. They have built another power clam that isn't the pity, by the way, here. Pancake has gone down. That's one less blaster to deal with on the side of Klassenerhalt. But Pyro won't be able to escape Lexi's wrath once more here, and Henlo is just cleaning up mid with that wiper, wiping it away. They have the hammer, but the power clam has been picked up once again by Klassenerhalt. That's a jump, but it has been cancelled, but the barrier has been broken. There's power clams coming in on the side of Klassenerhalt. Goldo will be able to jump back here, but I'm not sure if anyone else from Klassenerhalt will be able to score, as that basket will be going back up.
Yeah, but you know, this is the exact number that SHDL was able to get theirs down to when they made their first push. So perhaps Klassenerhalt sort of banking on the fact that they might have a bit of a follow-up in their back pocket there. But I think all of them are on their plat, leaving them right for attack from SHDL. Of course, I think they had their top right, but I think Henlo going down on that top right with the ball, so that one is going to expire, but very wisely. It seems as though SHDL maybe rather than working on their push, I think what they're doing more so was trying to hog all of the clams on the board to stop Klassenerhalt from possibly getting that OT, and just cherry on the cake, ending it there with a power clam to the basket.
Yeah, definitely. Just completely negating Klassenerhalt from like, I guess, adding to the clam economy. They were sporting 2 power clams. I think they were just, because they were in mid for a while here, they were just able to just move around, get those 2 power clams on their belt. Already proved to be a little bit of an intimidating force within those last couple seconds here. We saw the Klassenerhalt were able to at least break that barrier, but because their members were just not at the basket at that time, they didn't have any follow-up past that point. And then from there, SHDL just took mid by storm, like you said, dominated the clam economy, and then whoever went in just decided to end the game right then and there. And then now the score is tied up 1-1. We're going into game 3. There will be a game 4. That game 3 will be on TC Inkblots. Oh man, I cannot wait to make my Sisyphus reference once again.
Yeah, I think Lexi definitely the MVP on that past map mode. Range can be really king on Crab Leg, but Pencil maybe not as overtly effective on a map mode like Inkblot Tower. Of course, still very helpful, but not as overtly. So they're going to have to contend. I think. Oh, we have a switch from Henlo on to the decap, no doubt, for that bubble, so that they can protect probably Lexi, who will be on that tower. And I think we're seeing just about no changes from Class and a Halt. So already Henlo goes down. Make that 2. Dat Kid as well down. 2 members down on both teams. A very messy start to the game. I think that's Synapse here on that Gal moving forward to try and sort of take this space, make sure that they can get any sort of picks and come in with the flank here. And already they're well positioned with Synapse as this really strong sort of support role, checking those flanks. To be able to push the tower, but it seems like no one's on tower. So for now, they're making their way through this very slowly.
Very slowly, but it's still, once again, it's still very slow with another splashdown coming out from the Blaster. There's already 2 down on the side of SHDL, with Dat Kid and Synapse being sent back to the respawn. Ichideko is trying to make their move on here. Already the lead has been taken. Is going down, and Class and Halt are attacking Bats. But that being said, Lexi activating the clutch gene once more, getting a double pick on her belt. Pancake is going down right before charging that splashdown, and Dat Kid is just brushing away at Class and Halt, making sure that no one else can make it onto that upper platform here. That jump is definitely being camped. Sorry, Golda, you're not making it there. And SHDL are just trying, but Pancake is going to be picking out Synapse as well as Dat Kid. Can they get Henlo too? That's 3
Triple.
down on their belt. Oh baby, a triple.
I was just thinking the same thing. Oh baby, a triple. And Class and a Halt just keeps on pushing 2 of their members down. I think that ending up in a trade is going to make that a total of 3. And now finally, but I think with a really cheeky flank there, 3 members of SHDL go down, and it just seems as though, I always use the analogy, they just can't get the rats out of their basement. There's always someone in their backs or behind them or flanking, and SHDL really trying to stabilize as these members, particularly their Blaster, is able to really ledge Lexi, who is really struggling to stabilize there. You see that Kraken being popped, chasing after Henlo, who does eventually get checked, and it seems as though maybe Class and a Halt just playing a more scrappy and perhaps faster game, because I think that SHDL doing a strong job. You see here a pick from Dat Kid, but it seems as though when it comes to getting on the tower and getting points on the board, it's just so far not happening.
Yeah, they just have not gotten past that first checkpoint. But meanwhile, Class and Halt are just constantly on the offense, with Pancake and Golda just attacking at all angles here. I'm not sure if Synapse will be able to actually deal with that oncoming Blaster. But here, speaking of oncoming, Ichideko's Kraken has found its time, and he actually will be going down. Dat Kid is just trying, but Golda's once again lying in wait. I don't think Dat Kid notices them. Wow, this is the second time Golda has sharked, and no one has noticed them. And now is Golda's time to strike here. They are in the duel with Synapse, but no Synapse will be able to deal with that shark from Golda. And now it is the time for SHDL to start moving in. They're already going to start by taking the lead. Synapse is deep into Bats. They will be going down, but Dat Kid is just cleaning up the flanks, making sure that Ichideko can't have any more shenanigans. And I think they almost made it past the second checkpoint here.
Yeah, which is significant because I think we talked about ship shape. On this particular map mode, I'd say once you get to that third checkpoint, you can take your hand off the controller. It might as well be GG's at that point. And so you see SHDL trying to make their way there. A trade there from Dat Kid out of that zip. Henlo making sure to take one down before going down himself. And Synapse not Synapse, rather. That's my bad. Ichi going down to Dat Kid. I think 2 members down in Class and a Halt. And finally, I think in this 11th hour, with 3 of the members down, Lexi, of course, riding this tower and putting more points on the board. Finally, SHDL has organized in a way and checked all of their flanks, gotten the rats out of their basement, and they are poised in these last few seconds to take the game. But one of their members going down, that being Henlo, they're being checked in their own bats, but finally Class and a Halt has jumped onto that tower, but they do have some people behind them and several people to check. We'll see if they're able to keep moving forward, but it's not going to happen. I think that's Henlo there on that tower.
Yeah, that's Henlo's Decapitator that we see on that tower, allowing SHDL to get game number 3 on their belt. They are now within match points territory as we go into game 4, but for a little bit within that early game, it looked like once again Class and Halt had it going for them. They just responded with so much aggression to their belts here. They just did not allow Class and Halt. They just kept Class and Halt guessing. They didn't know where, say, Ichideko was, or where Golda was, or where Pancake was here. And there's that triple from Pancake that we see here, taking out Dat Kid, Henlo, I think Lexi as well here. But as soon as the timer started ticking down, maybe towards like 1 minute 30 left on the clock, SHDL just activated the clutch gene and started going here. They went in, they no longer wanted to be Sisyphus, and they started rolling that boulder uphill, past that first checkpoint here, and rolled it up at least to the point where they take back that lead and not allow Class and Halt to start moving.
Yeah, I think definitely Pancake going to be the MVP on the side of Class and a Halt, putting a lot of pressure on Lexi, really working overtime and being places they shouldn't have been. But of course, like you said, we saw that change of hands in the last hour there for SHDL, which I gotta really strong team effort from all of them, really. But a special big ups to Synapse and Henlo in particular. I feel their aggression there, especially with that Kraken, was able to buy them a lot of space and stall out the time while the tower moved itself forward. But right now they are within match point, but not if Class and a Halt has anything to say about it on Zone's Umami.
With Zones here, we saw last set that they did lose that Zones match onto Mia and Stara. Have beef here. Even still, we saw that Class and Halt can have some paint in their option. We see Henlo back on the Wiper and Golda back on the V-Dually, so that's going to be Crab coming out from the side of Class and Halt. So now it just depends on if Class and Halt can activate their own clutch gene and stay within this set.
We shall see. Like you said, they did lose that game against Mia and Star have beef, I guess, but it was by a little bit. We saw that painting at the last second. I believe that was on Barnacle and Dime. So they still have it within them. They just have to be able to keep it. And we also saw them, I think, get multiple wipes, right?
Yes,
in their game. So they've definitely got it within. Ichi, of course, popping at that Kraken. We have a Kraken v Kraken with Synapse making their way into the Class and a Halt court, getting a pick, and that's 3 members down on Class and a Halt already. SHDL is halfway through their points, and right now they just have to make sure that no one gets through like they did in the other games, and that they can continue to protect the zone.
If anything, it looks like they are doing that as 2 members of Class and Halt are going down. Golda is being forced to pop the Kraken, or not the Kraken, but the Crab very deep into their base. That won't give them the pain necessary to potentially stop SHDL from knocking out that zone within a single hold here. It's like you said, Sasu, they just did not let anyone from Class and Halt out of their spawn here. They just pushed it right up there. They had the Zipcaster, they had the Kraken, and they had Henlo ready to just wipe the floor with Class and Halt.
Yeah, definitely an extremely dominant game there from SHDL. I think that you would have thought that this might be a more dominant set, and I think SHDL definitely showed we are the first seeds. We are like DivX, and we are a force to be reckoned with, and that I think is going to be just about a 100-0 knockout push. So
Mhm.
I think at that point there wasn't much that could be done, and I think Klassenhall just didn't have the retake specials that they would have needed to get out of their spawn.
Exactly here, Golda was basically forced to pop Kraken just to make sure that
Crab, I think,
yeah,
Golda.
why is he keep saying Kraken? There's just been so much Krakens on like that we've been seeing
You're
here.
distracted by the subway surfers.
He crashed into the train. He crashed into the train. It
And
had
with
me distracted
that,
for a second.
you guys, I hope you still have that Subway Surfers open in that other tab, so you can just stare at that while we're away, because we'll be right back, with another set for you soon.
So don't go anywhere. And we're back with more. We're back with more Squid Junction 93. I'm Sasu. I'm not Sasu. I am
I'm
Frostix.
Frostix.
Dang it, the Subway Surfers, and now the fact that we are touching grass is just throwing me off guard. Jorian's weird chilling screen has always had a new bag of tricks for us casters here. But before I got sidetracked, we will be seeing SHDL, the winners of the last set that was streamed, go up against Tori-chan in winners bracket finals. Wow, I biffed.
I'm so glad. See, sometimes I decry the fact that I'm old, and then I realize one of the many strengths of being a millennial is that I am impervious to Subway Surfers. Um, I think that is one thing I have to be thankful for. But what I am not impervious to is Zone's Haggle.
Oh no.
Because this is a map mode that you're going to see in practically every tourney that you're going to be in, and I think a really strong start to this set because, like I always call it, it's kind of the great equalizer. All teams know how to play this, and really it's going to come down to your command of the board when it comes to who's going to win.
Definitely so here. Judging off of last set, we probably know what's in store from SHGL. We're probably going to see Synapse back on 96. We're going to see Lexi
some bad internet, perhaps.
We're going to maybe see some bad internet. But wait, I think some people on the wrong team. Are they? Oh, maybe not. Maybe I think okay. Then maybe I think someone changed their name here as I think that was probably Dad Kid.
Yes, we have Dad Kid. Lexi, of course, her name seemingly in Braille, but already we have an early pick on who I think may be Synapse with their bucket going down, meaning that SHDL going to have to retreat a bit here and try and do crowd control. Of course, Lexi doing her signature strong defense and a really great hammer throw there from Henlo before going down. So right now, Tori-chan still has their hands on this zone, but I think that maybe SHDL, if they're able to hoard those specials, move in with those strikes from Synapse, the control is in their hands.
Exactly, they will be able to flip the zone, apply 38 penalty points to Tori-chan here. I think that kid going down in the lanes to Todi themselves here, and they're just going to start flanking immediately. I think they're being chased by someone else on the side of SHDL, but zone is in neutral and back in the hands of Tori-chan. Synapse is trying to make their name known here with this Kraken, trying to cause a little bit more chaos, putting the zone back into neutral, not allowing Tori-chan to at least start counting down a little bit more as SHDL will be back in control, but not for long. Zone's right back into neutral. There's someone flanking in the lanes. That's a 52 that I see here. That hammer throw will not claim any targets here. SHDL is having a little bit of difficulty trying to at least output the amount of paint that Tori-chan has, as a set of tri-strikes are flying out from Tori-chan, displacing SHDL a little bit further. Liam's going down, but two members are down on the side of SHDL.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit surprising. There, like you said, there's actually two members down on the side of Tori-chan, and it seems as though SHDL struggling a little bit with paint, which is surprising because it seems as though, if anything, they would have the better paint output given their weapons. Of course, there's a blaster on Tori-chan, as well as a Gal. Gal's not well known for how well they paint, so definitely maybe a bit of strategy deficit here. Two members down on Tori-chan, but of course Liam under here getting a really solid double and cleaning off the rest of this game in what is pretty much a dominant game. This feels a little bit like an echo of what we just saw in our last match.
Yeah.
In terms of this zone game. So unfortunately, SHDL getting a little bit of a taste of their own medicine in terms of a dominant Splat Zones game against them.
Yeah, it's not to mention, like I guess you're mentioning Echoes, their last set against Klassener Hall, they did lose their first zones match in the set here, so it could just be that SHDL was just dealing with so much firepower, so much paint on the side of Tori-chan. They had so much weapons that could paint. They had that Splash-O-Matic, they had the pencil here, and even still, Tori-chan had some weapons that could at least keep up with the amount of aggression that they had and being able to check that. They had the Gal here that could give good chip damage as well as just consistent just damage output for that custom blaster on Tony-chan as well.
Yes, I think that maybe there was a little bit of not necessarily staggering, but perhaps a tinge of a lack of how do I put this? When I say a lack of teamwork, I don't mean as though they're not working together. I think that we didn't really see necessarily people playing off of each other's chip or kind of being positioned in a great way to get those picks. So I think maybe this just not necessarily their map mode, especially when they have a blaster to pressure Lexi. But moving into Clam Blitz, Scorch Gorge, did we actually see SHDL here? I think we saw them on Scorch Rainmaker, perhaps.
I know. I think
but
that
not
was
Clam Blitz.
We saw Klastener Halt on Scorch Gorge Rainmaker actually.
I thought we might have seen both of them, but we are going to be moving into clams, and of course we have a switch of Dat Kid onto the brush. So seeing him on that brush now, I think we might be seeing some scrappy, sneaky plays, especially because they have sort of their partner in crime with these scrappy plays, Henlo, on that wiper.
Oh, but Henlo's in Spawn. I won't lie. This is the second time that we saw someone from SHDL maybe taking the view of the map just before the game starts here. And I guess with maybe this innate numbers disadvantage, I think Tony-chan is already starting to take control of mid. Henlo has now made it onto the scene. They're hunting down Sabrina, being able to take them out, as well as Tony, I think, with a torpedo here. No one is moving with that power clam today here. Henlo may be a late riser, but that rising has happened, as SHDL will be able to break that barrier. There's that 77 that we saw in that clam blitz in the I think the crab leg match. But SHDL will be able to push their lead to 53. I think that is Lexi trying to collect some more clams in mid. Henlo will be able to get a hammer throw onto Tony. Dat Kid and Lexi are able to push it even further down to 38 here. And they're still going. Lexi's throwing down some soda here. And I think that's Dat Kid throwing some more clams in. Same thing with Lexi here. This push is still going on, but I think now finally Tony-chan has some room to rest as Henlo will be able to grab 3 clams before jumping back into the safety of their spawn.
Yeah, a very wise jump out from Henlo. On Wiper, it can be so very easy to overextend and say, listen, I'm going to see if I can just keep this going. But them really working to go back 2 members down, I think, on SHDL, 1 member down on Tony-chan. But with all of the members there, they're now going to start making their bid on the basket. But they've got a lot of points to go. A jump in with a power clan is going to close that lead, though, to only 10. We have 42 v 32, and despite that really fantastic push from SHDL, already they are trying to move forward and defend their lead. But I think given the marvelous amount of teamwork we saw in that last push, Lexi, of course, putting out this chip, making sure that they can check anyone who's overextending. I think SHDL, we're only maybe halfway through this game and already way past halfway through the points. They are already poising themselves for another push, and that is the basket open on Tony-chan's side. SHDL poised here to see if they can keep this space and probably keep it open until they hit knockout.
Uh-oh, Dat Kid's coming with a second power clam, and a second power clam has hit the basket, pushing their lead to 14. Lexi's just once again clearing out mid here. I think SHDL just has no more business left in Tony-chan's basket here. They're backing off right onto the defense here. And like we saw earlier, their defense was also a good offense as Synapse is pushing onto the top tower, making sure that crab won't have enough time to start firing off. Synapse is now starting to run from that crab, and they're just trying to at least make sure that Tony-chan can't have any more space or any more clams left in mid. Their pencil is down. Dat Kid is just cruising in to take care of Kiki. Kiki's going down next. Dat Kid has another power clam of their own, and that's another power clam going into Tony-chan's basket here, just stopping a push before it can even begin from SHDL here, and that can still moving. That's just what Brush can do, move in and out from basket area to mid, then back to the basket area here. They push their lead once again to 11, and they're controlling this clam economy very, very keenly. 14-12.
Now listen, you have to be super careful on this map mode. If your team wipes, if too many people go down, the amount of time it takes you to get from your spawn all the way to where the basket is just not enough time, and the other team will be able to push. You see those whales being popped. Lexi kind of retreating there already. They're down to 19, and it's not going to be super hard for them to get the lead, and they get it down to 10 with 49 seconds left already. SHDL doing a lot of work to see if they can kind of clean up under their basket, getting rid of all the people who are trying to make that push. Dat Kid already on the move, getting those clams to see if they can make a pass at that basket, but only 1 point lead and not a hefty penalty on SHDL is going to be make it so that they're able to perhaps make another push. With 3 of their members go down, they get wiped, despite Lexi getting a fantastic double, if not triple. I'm not sure they have that booyah because, like I said, if you wipe, it takes a long time for you to get your way out. I don't think they have a power clam or anything to necessarily push with, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, I don't even think we're necessarily going to trigger OT. No, at the last second, they get this power clam. So this is going to be their last push and their last attempt on the basket. But 2 of their members going down, they're already at a disadvantage. Lexi holding really steady to see if they can just push them back. Those whales being popped, they're going to have to jump in now. They do get that power clam in, and a sneaky clam thrown in there by one of the members is gonna give SHDL the last second clutch lead and the win.
Talk about a half-point dunk from SHDL.
A buzzer beater.
I really want to think that that person that committed that buzzer beater was Lexi here. And we see such a, like, I think this was primarily within SHDL's hands. They had a very strong early game as well as into the mid game here, and there's that push that got them just so far here. They just had that, they just broke that barrier and immediately started occupying Tony-chan's spawn area here, just not allowing them to get an inch. But then Tony-chan just replied with even more amounts of aggression here in both of their pushes. They managed to get at least close to getting that lead here, and then there's that second push that that SHDL had over here, with Dat Kid being able to jump in, get that barrier break once again, push the lead to, I think they did set that lead at 14, but then past this point into like past the 2-minute mark here, Tony-chan, who started upping the ante onto SHDL here, that one push that they had nearly sealed the deal until SHDL managed to just work that overtime so effectively.
Yeah, wow. I felt like a masterclass in gameplay there from both teams. It's not easy to come back from such a steep advantage, I guess, from the other team, and yet Tony-chan able to hit back, but SHDL, of course, sealing the deal with that buzzer beater at the end. And honestly, with the strength and ability they're playing with, I have to imagine that they're looking quite good heading into Rainmaker Humpback, what with their comp and their really strong gameplay.
Yeah, definitely. So we have seen SHDL just be very, very eager to start pushing in. We see that especially within Henlo, but also with their Robin to Henlo's Batman Synapse as well here. But if there's one thing about Rainmaker Humpback that must be mentioned, it is of course the bottleneck. Once that first checkpoint is popped, it's going to be very difficult to break past that and get points on the board if you want to go for a knockout. So it just depends on if SHDL could just break past Tony-chan's defenses, or if Tony-chan can just, I guess, if Tony-chan can continue to stay as aggressive as they were within that Rainmaker match, just clap back after they whittled out SHDL's resources.
Well, of note, Todi-chan, I believe, is running a custom blaster, or at least they may have one on their roster, and I think that can prove very difficult. Of course, you have the AoE that can make it very annoying to deal with in that really tiny choke. Range blaster also is something that's very often played here, but particularly with that custom blaster, of course, you have that splashdown. So people can be in that elbow area trying to dunk that Rainmaker, trying to just push for points, and there's just nowhere to go when you have an active splashdown going down. You may get the splashdown user, but getting all of those fists, easier said than done. So we're going to have to watch to see if we see things like a Kraken, like a splashdown that can easily, or even a Booyah Bomb that can
Yeah,
just displace and make it difficult to be in that tiny choke area.
if I remember in that zones match, we did see tri-strikes within Tori-chan's roster. I think they were running it with a Neo Splashmatic, so that's really good for not only breaking barriers, but breaking bubbles, but also breaking past defenses here. We're seeing that kid once again on Ink Brush, and we're actually seeing switches to V-Shot on the side of Tori-chan here. That'll be interesting. That'll be pretty useful for, I guess, trying to get some trying to get some very long range AoE damage from perhaps across from mid all the way going into spawn. Already, this bubble will be broken and it is painted in yellow, but there is no Henlo to start pushing up here. Synapse is trying to make their move, but there's a Zuka coming out from Tori-chan, a Soda coming out from SHDL, and Sabrina will be going down, sniped by sniped
that kid
by no, that kid's using
sniped by Lexi. Yeah.
Lexi's using pencil. They're the ones. She's the one sniping here. And with that, SHDL will be moving in, taking the lead. The whales are coming out from Dat Kid, and SHDL will be able to get that first checkpoint here. But there's 3 members down. Make it 4. And now Tony-chan potentially has the opportunity to clap back.
Yeah, you see all those members of SHDL dropping from that spawn there, trying to see, and like we mentioned before in this preview, we have, I think that's Synapse popping that Kraken, making sure that they are losing the Rainmaker and they're not able to make an attempt on that checkpoint. I think that you have Todi, the aforementioned Todi, kind of waiting here and seeing if they can honestly, I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but I think they're waiting for someone to try and pop there so that they can immediately check them. You see them going to pick up some cooler Dat Kid here, just kind of biding their time, bombing out that mid, seeing if they can get a pick. Of course, there's that splashdown. Lexi going down to a Zuka shot, and I think whoever was holding that Rainmaker also going down to the Rain of Synapse. So right now, I think the Rainmaker in the hands of SHDL, and they might just be able to pick it up and make a further push to see if they can get that that number lower. But oddly enough, despite all of the pressure they're putting on Todi-chan, no attempts on the Rainmaker.
Not yet entirely here. I think it's just because there weren't a lot of members of SHDR left here. But that kid is moving in. They will be able to secure a pick on Sabrina. And now Lexi will be able to pick up the Rainmaker here. Then they need to break through the bottleneck, but there is 2 members down on Tori-chan. Liam will be able to at least take out one Henlo. That is one less hammer to deal with. And Lexi's going down to Kiki's Zuka here. I think that's 3 picks on the belt of Tori-chan. Make that a delayed wipe now for Tori-chan, getting Dat Kid and Henlo out of their spawn, out of their swamp, and now they need to get through the swamp of mid. Make sure they can get that first checkpoint because SHDL pushed their lead to 29 here. There's going to be around 2 minutes left in this set here. Kiki's firing off the Zuka, perhaps to get some picks on Synapse, on Henlo here. They're doing the same thing with the Rainmaker, but Synapse's Kraken has been unleashed here. They will be able to take out 2 members of Tori-chan here, and now SHDL are taking back mid by storm. And now they just need to find a way to at least get rid of whoever's holding the Rainmaker. Henlo has the hammer, and they're throwing it out. They're throwing it to Sabrina. No! They will be going down in return, but Sabrina's, I think, going down to a torpedo!
Yeah, there's just so much happening here in mid. Everyone just kind of throwing everything and the kitchen sink at the Rainmaker holder. You see, we were talking about that V shot, and that's exactly why it's there. Seeing if they can get a pick, not making any purchase. I think Synapse going down is going to mean that they do not have a Kraken ready for this push. And of course, Tori-chan able to get basically a free check as Lexi jumps back to get a better perspective on her snipe there. Liam pressuring her, making her go down. Henlo, I believe, is the only person up at the moment, definitely trying to stay alive to get his stamp, and he does go down to Liam. But right now, Tony-chan was able to sneakily take the lead there. I didn't even notice the notification. So with only 45 seconds left, SHDL now on the back foot and having to once again make another push and push that down enough to get their lead back.
Will the clutch gene activate? We'll just have to see here. Already 2 members of Tori-chan are going down to Dat Kid. Now there's 3 members down. It's only Liam left, but Liam will be able to secure 2 picks for Tori-chan here, just making sure that SHDL cannot get anything done within these last 15 seconds. Sabrina will be going down here. The triple splash gen has come out. No one is picking up the Rainmaker just yet here. There's 10, 9, 8 seconds left. Someone has the Rainmaker on the side of SHDL. Henlo is starting to stamp a path for SHDL being able to take out Liam. Kiki, Sabrina's firing off on to Lexi here, and it's overtime. They're charging through, and SHDL will be able to take that lead back once again, activating the clutch gene, and will push this to game number 4. Or 3? It was 3. I gave you 3. Wait, okay, the Sendu thing, like, shows the band map, so I thought this was, like, it showed a lot of things, sorry. Game number 3 here.
Yeah, wow. I think that all of them have a dormant clutch gene just waiting to be activated. You see Lexi making some very wise decisions when she was on that elbow in that OT. Henlo absolutely going like wild with that ultra stamp, ultimately going to lead them to a victory. You see, I think this may be in the end here. No, it's not. It's when Lexi ate a Trizuka bullet to the face, unfortunately there. But you see Henlo trying to get the Rainmaker, dying to a Torp, and there was just a lot of scrappiness, a lot of 1v1s, and everyone, it felt very much like if Splatoon could be 8-player Smash.
Yeah.
I feel like that is what that game was. But once again, Clutch Gene activated. SHDL just loves to put on a show. Yeah,
definitely. And that is game number 4 that we're going on to. This is game number 4.
Yeah, we're gonna push to a game number 4. You are correct. If I corrected you, I am wrong. You continue.
No, don't worry. Which then means it is now match points for SHDL once more, and once again, it's going to be on zones again. We saw within game 1 of the set, Tori-chan took that zone 100-0 here, basically just placing down a very big red stop sign over in front of SHDL's I guess 18-wheeler truck. It did not allow them to steamroll them this time, but if anything, we saw last set that that SHDL was able to take at least one zone loss, and be able to then be able to completely dominate the second zone's maps. It could be a pattern, or it could be my delusions. Let's just see what's in store.
Speaking of what's in store, taking a look at these comps, we do see a switch off of that V shot to instead the Neo Splash, of course, with those tri-strikes, going to be super useful for capping over that zone, especially from afar. But already early picks on both teams, one going down, I believe Dat Kid going down, but Synapse already honestly call them the janitor, because they're always cleaning up, always putting pressure there wherever they can get it. And of note, I think like I think 3 members down from Tony-chan. So I think that SHDL actually doing a really strong job of checking these drops. Of course, they don't have a conventional AoE like a blaster to really camp underneath them, but doing well enough with Synapse and Henlo, who, well, commentators curse, they both go down, and I think this is going to finally be Tony-chan's turn to try and get some points on the board, because SHDL all the way down to a 35.
And if anything, Tony-chan have a very impressive comp for Mako Mart zones here. They are running that blaster, which will be able to cheese out the ledges like we're seeing Liam do here. They're canceling out Synapse before we see the whale come out. But Henlo does have the stamp ready to go here, but they will be shut down by Sabrina. And now Tony is trying to move in. They are on the stacks onto the plat, but they're spotted out by the rest of SHDL. They're firing off on them with the whale. I think that kid's trying to strike, but they will be going down in a trade. Tony-chan is very close to taking this lead back. They will be doing so right now. And there's the lead swap, the trade of hands. Henlo is trying to at least secure this zone, but Liam's just lying in wait. Same thing with Kiki. Sabrina's back on the point. Same thing with Tony. Henlo will get a hammer toss. No targets claimed, but Tony-chan is almost close to knocking out here. SHDL need to start acting as we're in the single digits. Zone to neutral. There's the zone flip. Flipped like a pancake, and SHDL are still in this match.
Wow, flip like a pancake is so true. Nice and clean. You see, SHDL has already moved up and racking up 2 picks with that whale is Synapse, who is watchfully checking that drop there. You see 2 members trying to bomb him out, and they kind of do so, forcing him to drop. But again, there's another drop. This is a very vertical map, and you just see sort of the members of SHDL finally making their way through their points, strikes coming out, able to give control way back to Tony-chan, which is going to stop them straight in their tracks. We're looking at a 4 versus a 12, but finally SHDL has made a really strong bid on the zone there, which is, even though they have all those penalty points, going to put them in a way better position to possibly take this game.
Potentially so, but the zone is still in neutral, and the penalty points are massive here. But if anything, SHDL is starting to finally get that pace coming out here, even when it is coming from Wiper, but they still have Lexi here. Of course, Pencil can put out a lot of pain for what it can do here. They're already cruising past the 30 threshold. They're now into the 20s. Penalty points can fly quickly if you don't act on it. And now Dat Kid is starting to try to move in. They are on the plat. SHDL are now within the 10 threshold. They're going to be entering the single digits of their penalty points, and Dat Kid was just able to stall off Tony-chan ever so further here, and they're out of their penalty points. They're counting down, but it's only Lexi left! And now Zone has been flipped by Tony-chan once more, right before SHDL could take back the lead. It is a 1-point differential, Sasu.
Oh, that hurts, getting so close, but so far away, because of course they have those 47 points of penalty that they have to eat through if they ever hope to get that lead. But already I think SHDL making their move on the zone, but of course they have those strikes ready, and I think that is going to maybe be SHDL's win condition. 2 of their members going down, but ultimately they're going to have to really check this strikes user, and right now they have to really die for the zone, and they're not able to do it. Even in me discussing what it is they need to win, it feels like maybe in their own way asleep at the wheel a little bit and gonna force us into a game 5 because they just didn't cat fast enough.
That being said, though, SHDL did really show up on this zones match. They finally learned from their mistakes of being locked out of moving, and basically decided to just start occupying the spaces that Tony-chan, occupying those high grounds that Tony-chan were at least trying to bank on here. That's what their weapons can do here. They're fast, they're light, they're ink brush, there's Splatana Wiper, and if anything, the switch from 96 to 52 probably allowed Synapse to be a little bit more light, a little bit more faster on their feet here. But even still, Tony-chan just had the paint output. They had the GG strikes in the hands of that Neo splash here. They had the blaster that was able to just fight on the ledges at a safe angle, as well as that custom blaster also having splashdown, allowing them to have almost two forms of zone capping.
Yeah, I think that really well played from SHDL. Dat Kid and Synapse did a really strong job of keeping the zone and also threatening those ledges. But like you said, ultimately, I it's all about it is a game of zones and it's all about capping the zones. And when you're up against tri strikes, there's just not much you can do when you don't have outrageous amounts of paint output to paint over those strikes. But we're not looking at paint anymore. We're looking at tower control. Tower control Inkblot specifically, and we've already seen SHDL and what they can do on a map mode like this.
Indeed, we have. We've seen SHZL be able to take back that Inkblot TC match against Class Halt, even when Class Halt were being just as aggressive as SHDL. If anything, right now aggression needs to be happening from SHDL even more so than what we saw from them last time. Perhaps maybe even take a page out of Class Halt's books. Just start attacking bats even before you make it there.
Yeah, for those of you who maybe missed it on the stream, SHDL up against Class Halt in the last game, and initially a very dominant game from Class Halt, but of course that clutch gene activating in that final minute turned into a very dominant push from SHDL, particularly I think Lexi getting quite a few picks, checking anyone who tried to move forward, and ultimately they got a decisive win on Tower Inkblot. But they're going to be dealing with a very tricky blaster among other weapons that are going to be able to threaten their pushes. So if they learn from their last game, make sure there are no cheeky flanks and, like I put it before, rats in their basement. They may be poised to take this final game, but I'm suspecting it'll be really, really tight and close based on these other games. These are two very strong teams.
Exactly here. If there's anything that we've seen from Tony-chan's comp last game, they have these weapons that can just provide so much objective. They just have these specials that can just put the objective in a chokehold. And I'm definitely going to. I definitely feel like they're gonna stay with that zones comp that they had, specifically with that Neo Splash. They have GG strikes, which can just secure a tower instantly here. What I feel like is probably gonna come out from SHDL is once again Synapse gonna switch back to, I think Synapse is going to switch to 96 once more, so we can have that Kraken. Of course, Kraken can have that tower presence, just stick on it, and be impervious to specials like, say, Tri-Strikes or Splashdown that Tori-chan has here. And I guess I'm also interested to see if Dat Kid's going to stay, which brush Dat Kid's going to run on. I think last time we saw SHDL on TC Inkblot, they had Octobrush?
I think Octobrush. I think even if that's not what we saw, that may be what makes the most sense. I can see a brush with whale on a place like this to just kind of once again get the rats out of your basement, force people to get off of that tower. But definitely with the amount of aggression they have, I can see that Octobrush and people getting zipped in their own bats while they try to defend. And yeah, like you said, that switch from Synapse possibly to the Kraken, because of course they do not have a more conventional GG special like a Booyah or Strikes. So we'll definitely be looking for that for sure.
And finally, I can just elaborate on that stupid Sisyphus metaphor, of course. The sort of rule, per se, of TC Inkblot is as soon as you get to that first as soon as you clear that first checkpoint here, one of the key moves to make is, of course, to just try to get control of bats, just the back end of the of that entire upper platform area. That way, you have a lot more control of, I guess, that area, allowing you to get the high ground and also just take that low ground very efficiently and just just occupy more space here. I think we saw of course Klassener Hall to do that, like just with the amount of specials that they have, being able to just go really fast here. But SHDL can just go just as fast. Actually, there's one more thing that that I think SHDL had when they were on TC Inkblot, and that was Henlo switching to Decavitator. That way they had Bubble.
Ah, yes. We might be seeing that again, though. I will say my personal preference. I feel like when you think Henlo, you think the Wiper. Now, in all fairness, not only is it good to have that bubble on a tower control game, but Ultra Stamp, not super helpful. A place like this, it's not very flat. You're not going to get those clean picks from throwing your hammer because of those stacks and all of the ledges and the things that can just essentially block your throw. So definitely thinking we're gonna see that decav, that gal, that brush, and of course Lexi bringing up the rear on that pencil. But I wonder if there's any sort of concern about speed there. I think having a gal and a decav can definitely make it so that you can be punished if your comp isn't fast enough, especially when you're up against a support shooter.
Definitely so here, and I think support shooters are what Tori-chan have in spades. Sorry, I'm trying so hard not to get ticked off at this Subway Surfer gameplay. They crashed into trains so much time. Anyways. Okay, there we go, it's gone. It's gone. Okay. Okay, sorry. Anyways, it's like I said, there are a lot of support shooters that Tori-chan has in their roster. We've seen them sport out V-Shot as well as 52, the vanilla 52 gal, as well as Neo Splash. And those are weapons that can play very well within this TC mode, and we are now going into the tiebreaker. This one is for all the marbles. The winner of this match will be going into grand finals, and the loser will be sent to losers bracket. Did I just see a V-Shot from Synapse? Oh, someone's gone.
What you saw was a DC. Okay. Henlo graciously ending the battle. Can we get a replay on that? I think I might have. I think I might want to see that on a bit of a replay. See what happened there. I think there's not enough game for that to be the case. But yeah, I think. Oh, there it is. No, yeah. Jorian giving that straight to me there, and yeah, I think that's going to be Sabrina with the DC. Just in case we didn't catch that on the side of Tori-chan. So that is your replay for the game there. Thank you so much for that, Jorian. We are waiting. We're having a bit of some issues on the side of Tori-chan. On the side of Tori-chan.
I think, okay, I this may be a sneak peek, but I'm looking at our streamer's webcam to get a little bit of a preview of who they are actually subbing out, because Tori-chan, I think, is subbing out, I think, Sabrina, aka Soro. They're subbing, I think, is that Bake I see on Tori-chan's roster? That'll be an interesting...
Oh my gosh!
Is that Bake I see?
The Baketan. Oh my gosh! Listen.
I think I see Bake.
If I'm SHDL, I'm pissed. I'm unhappy. I am not glad that in our game 5 to go to grand finals, we are suddenly up against the Charger aficionado, Bake, on the other team here on a pencil, ready to wreak havoc in this Tower Inkblot game. Oh gosh.
Well, if anything, Lexi has her work cut out for her, knowing who is the pencil on the other end. Already 2 members are down on SHDL, but also Tori-chan. Meanwhile, Tori-chan is going to step on tower for a measly, at least maybe I think 6 points. Or at least pushing their score to 94. Already all members of both teams are right back onto mid. That's Azuka coming out from Synapse, but Henlo will be going down, I think, to a stray bomb on the side of Todi-chan. Already the coolers coming out from Lexi, firing off on those mid-stacks, trying to catch anyone off guard, but the Tri-Strikes have come out from Todi-chan as well here, just displacing SHDL as Tri-Strikes tend to do.
Yeah, you see, Lexi is no slouch. She is watching and she is making sure she can get all the picks that she can get. Two members down on both sides is going to give a very slight and insignificant, quite frankly, lead to SHDL unless they get on the tower and keep on moving. Bake taking this top left section on snipe, trying to get some chip down, but I think that members of SHDL really pushing the tower, but with those tri-strikes coming out from Kiki and Dat Kid not able to cleanly get that pick and live to tell the tale, Henlo resetting and getting ready for Todi-chan's push to make sure that they can clear that tower.
Already, I think that is Dat Kid trying to move in with the Zuka. They will be cancelled by Liam's blaster, and there's once again 2 members down on SHDL. Todi-chan is back onto that tower here. They need to take back this very minuscule lead from SHDL here, and they're making it to that first checkpoint here. Already, the Whale and the Tri-Strikes are coming out from Todi-chan. They're just displacing SHDL just so much. Maybe there's no need to take bats if SHDL is just in their spawn, as 2 members are down, Lexi as well as Synapse. But Dat Kid and Henlo are very aggressive. They can perhaps storm Todi-chan off of that tower. They will be able to at least clear them from that point. As tower moves right back to mid, Henlo has that stamp ready to go. It just depends on how they use it. Todi is trying to move in onto Lexi. I think that was Henlo trying to take care of that. Todi is down. Kiki has strikes once more, taking some chip damage from Lexi. Henlo is on the high rise trying to get a hammer toss. Will not claim any targets as SHDL is trying to at least return back to that first checkpoint, take back the lead that was taken from them by Todi-chan.
Listen, SHDL, not only are they going up against Bake, but they kind of have their work cut out for them of note. With Synapse changing over to that V-Shot, that means that they essentially have no GG special in which to clear the tower. Of course, you can have Henlo with the Ultra Stamp, which he does throw, gets no purchase from, to possibly try and clear a tower that way. But you see, they come just short, down to a 66 versus a 65, meaning we're not going to see a change of hands here, but instead a really strong push from Todi-chan as they let those whales loose. An active Zuka coming out of Synapse there. Kiki going down. Henlo going for a major flank there while Lexi puts some paint down, getting ready for her team to possibly push with the cooler they're trying to get there. And no one's on the tower, so not making any points yet. Finally, we do get on the tower and work on that, but Liam has that splashdown, definitely waiting surely to clear that tower off. There it goes. I'm not quite sure if it necessarily gets one. They do themselves get punished, and right now I think that SHDL gets the lead and is poised to see if they can keep on pushing.
Yeah, Dat Kid's deep into bats, being able to swipe Kiki out of there. Can they go for 2? No, Baki will be able to get a shot onto them, but Henlo is stamping their way to make sure Liam cannot catch a break. The hammer throw will not claim any targets, and Henlo is the last one standing on their team. I think Todi was just on a mini rampage that we didn't even get to see, and now I think they're poised in a 2v1 as they need to get this, once again, this lead back. The lead is once again very close, 65-63, but there were 2 members down on Todi-chan earlier, and if anything, SHDL is just taking mid very effectively with Dat Kid and Lexi just holding down the line here. Lexi's already on the mid stacks while Synapse is jumping in on the scene. There's 10 seconds left on points. Dat Kid has Zipcaster. They pop it out. Liam is going down, but at least they did get the splashdown, being able to take out Dat Kid. And now this is Todi-chan's final push in overtime. Henlo is on the scene. They are looking to get the assassination here. 2 members, 3 members. 3 members have gone down on Todi-chan, allowing, I think, is that SHDL? I think
it
SHDL.
Is. I think they defended their meager lead. They did it!
SHDL. Even with the sudden appearance of Bake, SHDL will punch their ticket to Winners Bracket Finals. or to grand finals. We were already in winners bracket finals. What am I saying?
Wow, a 2-point win. Did any of them even break their checkpoint? No, they did. They
The
both
first
broke
checkpoint.
their
The
first
first one.
checkpoint, just barely, I guess, into the 60s with only a 2-point lead, which is basically nothing in tower control. You can touch the tower, and the inertia of touching it can eke out 2 points for you. So a game 5 won by 2 points, a tumultuous set for Tony-chan there. And yeah, just barely losing even with Bake in their pocket. But of course, they will be sent down to losers, and they still have a chance to get that ultimate rematch with SHDL. Masterful gambit there.
Yeah, what a gambit here. Tony-chan are going down into losers bracket finals to go up against Artifice, the C2 team. That'll be a interesting play for them, especially with a lack of unless Soro comes back here. Bake is perhaps is locked in for the rest of this tournament here. Depends on if Soro comes back.
Is Bake not Europe based?
I think Bake is Europe based. Content's Europe.
Yeah, isn't it like 1 billion o'clock in Europe right now? It's late in the US, so it must be crazy late in Europe. So Bake's really doing the good work by subbing in here. But while Bake may be there to see those games, we certainly will not. We will be switching off to a whole another set of commentators. But before we go, let's talk about, you see we're in the grass here, sort of like Pokemon. Talk about where the people can catch you, Frostix.
Okay, sorry, I got a little bit... Oh, he used a key to get back in? Wow, sorry.
There's no way. There's no way.
This Subway Surfers gameplay has me cheesed. If anything, I need to get back on this track. I have been Frostix. You can find me on at Twitter at TK_Frostix, at Blue Sky at FrostixBlueSky.social. You can see that beneath me. Or if you want to support some of the work that I do, you can read my web novel Gap Year on Wattpad. That's aside from the points. Wow, he hit another trading. I'm sorry, Sasu. Where can the people of Twitch chat find you?
Listen, you can find me and my iron focus and ability to ignore Subway Surfers at Sasu in your pants on basically all social media. That's SASUIN. The letters UR pants. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm going to make sure we sign off nice and quick so Frostix doesn't have to subject himself to any more of this Subway Surfers. But
Release me!
I've been Sasu, that's Frostix, and stay tuned because we've got some loser bracket runs for you in the Squid Junction right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, hello, Dapple Productions fans and enjoyers. Welcome back to Squid Junction. My name is Nell, also known as Nell Fire, and I am joined by the lovely Lila.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Um, we had some fun sets tonight, but now we are going into losers finals. We're gonna see who's gonna be able to duke it out. We're gonna see Toady-chan Heart versus Artifice. It's gonna be a real treat. I'm excited. We're currently in the banning of maps phase, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the brain rot all over the screen as well. It's really clicking and tickling my brain.
Also love just the little YouTube premium pop-up in the bottom left-hand corner.
Someone
That
didn't
just
pay
like
the YouTube
adds to the
premium
vibes.
This
Oh my god.
shows that we have a big budget over at Dapple Productions, obviously. I'm just joking,
Okay.
but yeah. No, we do have a big. Anyways, yes, and entertain yourselves with Subway Surfers while we get into the upcoming losers finals. We are going to be seeing the maps pop up here just shortly. We are going to be seeing Tower Control on Ship Shape Cargo Co. And then we're going to move over to Rainmaker on Scorch. And I believe that it is a best of 3, so we may not see Ramen Zones, but I hope we get to see Ramen Zones.
Yeah, we did see the last match in winner's bracket on Tower Control, and honestly, as we saw, it was chaos. It looks like, I don't even think either of the teams broke their second checkpoint, but we did see it was pretty much down to a point or two towards the very end. So Toady-chan will likely be trying their best to, clap back on that and try to take a few wins here. Although we did see that they are also seed 3 while Artifice is seed 2, so it may not be as easy as they'd like it to be.
Absolutely. I will say that Artifice has had to fight throughout the entirety of losers bracket in order to make it to finals here. So they are hungry for that win, whether they like it or not. They have been on like a winning streak almost, only dropping like one game since they first got sent to losers bracket. So I think that they're pretty much ready for grands, but they're going to have to fight for it against Toady-chan, who, as we just saw, did unfortunately lose in winners finals. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen here. It is seed 2 versus seed 7, but Toady-chan has proven themselves to be formidable foes in this tournament for just everybody. So I'm excited to see how it's gonna go.
Yeah, as we saw earlier, we did see Liam on that custom blaster, so it won't be an easy feat for Artifice, as Liam had some really, really great plays on the last few matches that they were in. I'm not too sure what Artifice does play, but we will be seeing shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Artifice does play, well, this is obvious. They do play a pencil and a heavy edit because I am familiar with their backline. They are my team's coach, so shout out to Fox. But anyways, it seems like they're a new team and they do play some 52 gal and 96 gal, so I'm seeing on their Sendo profile. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they're gonna grapple with that, and if Toady-chan is going to do anything differently, or if they're just going to stick with they know what works with that, very powerful, weapon choices that they've been using.
Yeah, and something that's kind of been speculated in and out is whether or not it's going to be Bake or if it's going to be Sorrow again, of which I don't want to spoil it. I can't spoil it for the people in chat, but Bake apparently is from the EU, so it is likely very, very late for them. So kudos to them for subbing in at the last moment there. That they must be exhausted.
I'm sure. I mean, they do have a very, very large roster to pick from, thankfully, in the event of an emergency or something popping up. But yeah, kudos to Bake for being awake and cognizant on probably a Sunday morning for them if they're in the EU. Probably getting quite late for them. But I'm excited to see how it's going to go. Like we've said before, we are going to get into it quite soon. But yeah, I thank you all for stopping by. If it's late for you, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm just saying have a good evening. Words. But yeah, as we're getting into it, we are going to Tower Control on Ship Shape Cargo Co. We are seeing a Wiper and a 96 gal from the side of Artifice. That's the Kraken that will definitely cheese the tower at some point during the game. And we are seeing Bake on the pencil, Toady on the gal, and Liam on the blaster. So as we're just getting right into it, paint is being painted onto the ground to get some specials out. And overall, just a very neutral first game. Crab is already out, and Cooler is had on both sides. We do see one down on the side of Toady Chan, and the tower is going to be grabbed by Artifice at the beginning.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks like one of the players on blue team here actually managed to take out 3 players here now. Liam is just over in that corner, making a huge mess here. That early scuffle only did lead to around 6 points, being pushed on tower, but we're watching here as Bounce pushes forward with their Kraken. They're ready for that jump, but they miss it. Looks like Liam manages to escape, but unfortunately does get chipped at the very end here.
And 3 go down from the side of Toady Chan. That gives Artifice the time to get on the tower and push it forward past almost just about to be the first checkpoint. We are marching time down from the first checkpoint, absolutely obliterating the first checkpoint as the Crab is on the tower, just kind of marching the tower along all the way almost to the second to last checkpoint here. This map is very steamrolly. If you are able to just kind of sit on the tower and ride for a while, the points are going to trickle down quite fast, and we're already hurtling towards 30 points here.
As we were watching, as they pushed to checkpoint 2, it looks like the backliner Bake off of Toady Chan unfortunately did go down, and that's kind of caused this a little bit of a snowball here. Bounce, the gal player, getting up in their top right-hand corner. Although 2 of their players are also down, it looks like they're trying their best to chip down as many points as possible, but they were the last one on the tower. That is, I'm assuming, technically a pseudo-wipe. We're watching the player Pita here as they're trying their best to get back into mid, but Liam and it looks like Toady are actually the ones who are setting up on right side here, so it isn't an easy feat.
I completely agree. Toady Chan is wasting no time trying to get some paint on the ground, but unfortunately there's almost a delayed wipe as 3 go down from Toady, and they just keep getting picked off, and Artifice is wasting no time cleaning up the mess. We do see a defensive Crab here from the side of Toady trying to reclaim their plat area from the right side, trying to prevent the tower from moving any further, hoping to get some more points on the board because there is only 98 on their side, and we really have to beat a 21-point lead, so they really have a lot of work to do in order to get this tower moving.
Yeah, it looks like there's a nice pick on the gal on the side of Artifice. Looks like Toady Chan manages to do a trade there. We're watching as Bounce is back, and they're doing their best to keep Toady Chan from pushing forward through that second checkpoint, which looks like they were successful for the moment, but Bounce is kind of in some trouble over in pit over there. We're watching as the looks like the splash player Y here is actually grabbing tower once again. 2 are down on both teams, and it looks like Y unfortunately does get taken out by Fox up in the top right-hand corner.
Completely agreed. And then 3 go down on the side of Toady. That gives Artifice once again the opportunity to push forward and reclaim space. It just feels like Toady is not able to, reclaim a space at all or a strong footing. It just feels like they're constantly in some form of a stagger. We did see all members of each team up for a brief while here, but now, the specials are coming back out. We are seeing picks on the board. The gal goes down, the splash goes down from Toady Chan, and Artifice is trying to continue to push the tower all the way back to that checkpoint at 22 points. Toady Chan is just in this sort of stagger, and they can't get out of it.
Yeah, as you said that, it looks like Bounce was, up in the top right-hand corner and just making a mess. Fox is trying their hardest to push through, but only Pita is left, and they get taken out as they had popped their hammer. Toady Chan really needs to move forward and, get as many points as possible because there's only less than a minute left on the clock here. One of their players, the gal, ends up going down. That's going to be a little bit harder for them to move forward as we say that.
Completely agreed. We do see the tower flip lead just a little bit, not lead, but who was in control of it just for a while. But now there's 30 seconds left, and Toady Chan really has to kind of get their foot in the door in order to make a lead swap happen. We do see a Crab come out from Sam trying to defend their lead. Toady Chan is trying to push the tower, just inch it closer, but if Bounce has anything to do with it, they are not going to push that tower any further. We do see specials being saved from Artifice in the event that they are going to have to do something cheeky to protect the tower, and 2 go down once again. again from Todi-chan as we are just trying to get just pick after pick. Peta's cleaning up the act. We are just kind of looking at tower and guarding it with multiple specials on the board right now. And there we go. We do see the Kraken just to confirm the final win for Artifice.
Yeah, that was, we watched as the Kraken was going back and forth, getting some really great picks. And, as you said earlier, that really was the thing that was just the GG special out of that whole match. There still are 2 other matches in this set, although, so there is time for Todi-chan to make it back and try to have their revenge over, grand finals.
I'm sure, but I'm, it was very admirable to see Artifice have this very strong displacement power. It just feels like Todi-chan wasn't able to get set up at all, especially since you mentioned earlier with the pencil going down. It was just kind of like a snowball effect or a domino effect, especially on this map. This map is notorious for being very snowbally. If somebody makes some smallest mistake possible, like we see in the replay, 3 go down, and it's just, they were just in this endless stagger, it seems like, and Artifice did a fantastic job of taking advantage of that. So kudos to both teams, though. I don't think that Todi-chan is done with this, though. Even though this is a best of 3, we are going to be seeing what's going to happen next as we go over to Rainmaker on Scorch.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see this match again, or sorry, this map again, pardon me. This map mode is something that is fairly notorious for being a, kind of a nail-biter. Todi-chan will have to win this match, although if they do intend to make it back to grand finals. And Artifice, as you said earlier, they are really hungry for that win. They've been breaking their way through losers bracket, and they've been fighting because, they want to get up to grand finals as well. So just to see both of these teams, hungry for 2 different reasons, Todi-chan for revenge and Artifice to clap back. It's just exciting to see.
We won't have to wait any further. This is match point in a best of 3 set. We are going to be seeing losers finals, Artifice versus Todi-chan. It looks like there aren't many comp changes on either side to my knowledge. We are just going to go with what we know works, what's worked for us throughout the tournament. But yeah, I do expect to see some Kraken cheese going on again with that 90-6 gal, from the side of Artifice. We'll see if they're able to have a foothold on this match as we get right into it.
Yeah, we watched as Todi-chan had an early pop here. Looks like Liam is pushing back the crab on the side of Artifice. Although they are really, really weak here, they actually managed to displace Sam, which is a fairly nice move there from the Sea Blast. We're watching as, oh gosh, looks like Bake went down on the side of... Okay, sorry. As I'm saying that, different players are going down on the side of Artifice. There's just so much going on so quickly.
I completely agree. That's what happens. We do see they are opting to go to the leftmost checkpoint because it is clear. We are seeing Bake try to kind of rain havoc on the left side because that Kraken really just displaced any type of advantage that Todi-chan had because, we all have to leave now because there is a special that can kill us all. So we did lose a little bit of time trying to avoid the Kraken, but as you can see, Todi-chan's team is absolutely moving forward like a wall. We do see a crab almost charged here with 1 up on both sides. It's really up to V to get the checkpoint here, but it's not even that strong of a lead. We just need to get the check if possible, but Artifice is not allowing that. Peta getting a beautiful double and just canceling that push that they had.
That was a very great wipeout on the side of Artifice. We're watching, as they're pushing forward at the same fervor that Todi-chan had. They managed to get the pop, and it looks like Bounce here just has that Kraken ready. As we saw in the last match, that Kraken really is the stopper. We're watching as Bounce is currently chasing Liam around and pushing different members of Todi-chan towards Artifice. Looks like Liam does trade with Bounce, although while Artifice does have the Rainmaker at this point in time, there is less than, looks like maybe about a 10-point lead here, but with Artifice spamming the Rainmaker, oh gosh, there's a bunch of whales coming out on the side of Todi-chan. Sam, unfortunately, does have to make a dive down into pit. We saw V earlier, just going solo, getting a wonderful double there. Although it looks like they're trying to chase down the pen on the side of Artifice. They aren't successful, but they're camping a jump here. Can they get Peta? They managed to grab Peta. That was a really great move from V there.
Oh my god, Lila, I'm on the edge of my seat seeing all of this ruckus happening, and the score is pretty much neck and neck. Neither team has broken the checkpoint yet. We just see this very bloodthirsty fighting from both sides. Both teams are incredibly determined to make sure that the other one does not move forward an inch. And so we're not even safe enough to get check. We do get check. Bounce does sacrifice themselves in order to kind of push it towards that lead there, which, you know, it's a very small lead, but it is a lead nonetheless for Artifice. And so Todi-chan now has to kind of, you know, push back and clear out their ramp area, not if Bounce has anything to do with it. Just feels like Artifice just continuously is like, they're just monstrous with their hunger for winning. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. And as we say that, another hammer cancel from V. V once again is pushing forward to pop the Rainmaker all by themselves, and they have a crab just like last time. V is just a great player that we've seen, you know, make back from some very hairy situations. This could very well be just like the last match as we saw in winner's bracket, where maybe it's just a point or two, you know, that thing that changes the tide. You know, as I say that, V is fighting as hard as they can, but Sam manages to win out. We're watching as Todi from Todi-chan, you know, is trying their best to take Sam out. They are successful in that maneuver. One is down on both sides of the teams, and we're watching as Bake has the Rainmaker trying to push forward, spamming shots as they go. But PETA is just up in everyone's face, and they're pushing Bake down. Another hammer cancel, although I think that's the third one we've seen in this match.
Bake is taking advantage of an uninkable podium there in order to, you know, stay alive for a few more seconds, just long enough in order to get the checkpoint here. 3 do go down from Artifice. This is exactly what Todi-chan needed in order to push the Rainmaker just a few inches forward in order to get the points down to 50, getting a lead swap with 30 seconds left. We are going to need to see Artifice really try and do some quick thinking in order to make something happen. Todi does just hurry up and, you know, run the Rainmaker for as much as they can, bringing it down to 20 points with only 15 seconds left. It's not looking too good for Artifice right now.
You know, as you say that, I was watching as Liam was in the bottom right-hand corner, just, you know, pushing Fox as far back as they can. Unfortunately, members of Artifice are going forward and getting taken out one by one. We watch as Fox dives forward for a very desperate grab. They're parrying the shots from V, but V as successful. And that is game. So we will be seeing game 3 in this set.
Oh, what a treat, honestly. That game was incredibly close. Like, it was a nail biter, basically. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, just the way that both of the teams were fighting each other so voraciously. I loved watching it, and, you know, the little dodge rolls at the end, trying to just hold the Rainmaker for as long as possible to, you know, it's not over until the bell dings saying it's over. So if Rainmaker's in your possession, you can't just give it up. That's what I'm saying. So, you know, Artifice, with that final wipe towards the end, it just kind of spelled their demise, unfortunately, but they did have a very strong foothold on most of the match. They just kind of had this one little bit of a mistake, and it was very costly towards them.
Absolutely. And, you know, I feel like Todi-chan really felt the heat there because, you know, they're watching as game 1 goes down to Artifice, and then, you know, as they see their opening, we watched as Bake dove forward, and I'm not exactly sure. I think it was Todi here that grabbed it and just pushed it as far forward as they could. Todi-chan really isn't out of the running, and, you know, same thing with Artifice, although we did see a very, very fierce game 1 from them. So these teams are fighting as hard as they can. This is going to be very exciting to see on the wonderful map known as Robo Ramen Zones.
I love Robo Ramen Zones, but that's because I am a backline player. It's just very enjoyable for me to just sit back and paint the little square. If I see a pencil, I do want to see the sprinkler on the middle bowl. I think that is one thing that brings me a little bit of joy every time I play this map. I'm like, well, I get to put a sprinkler on the bowl. That's the best part of it. But, you know, getting back into it, I do think that Artifice is very strong if they're able to lock out Todi-chan, but I feel like they just weren't really able to get that strong of a foothold on Todi-chan in the previous Rainmaker match, which is unfortunate, but, you know, you gotta work as a team even when things aren't really going correctly, and so they both were very formidable. So I'm curious to see if they're going to change any comps in the next match for Ramen Zones, or if we're going to see any changes, or if it's going to be like a steamroll.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to see where we go from here. I'm not certain as to whether or not either of these teams really has a great cheese option for the zone. From what I've seen, they tend to stick with the weapons that they are, strongest with. But seeing a pencil switch here would be very nice. But again, pencil does reign king on sometimes on these types of maps, especially as you said with that sprinkler up and the bowl part. As a blaster, it's just impossible for me to grab that. So, as you said that's kind of something that I would be worried about if I were Liam personally. But we could see the Sea Blast here as well, and I think that would be, maybe something that we could see to cap the zone over, but we have looks like about 50 seconds left on the clock. Most of the members are readied up, and as I say that, looks like we're rolling into the next match here.
Yep, we are going to get right into it. Game 3, this is definitely a tiebreaker match point, whatever you want to call it, for losers finals, so that we can see who's gonna try and fight to get it all. And so, we see Toady-chan versus Artifice. No comp changes that I can see. We're sticking with what we know works. And yeah, we're just getting right into it, getting some paint on the ground, getting our specials up. We're probably gonna see a crab here in a few seconds. And speak of the devil, we are seeing a crab here from Sam, getting a trade out, but 3 go down from Artifice. Unfortunately, they just kind of their defenses kind of broke there, and it is allowing Toady-chan to really take advantage of space. We see Bake with the charger just pushing up as far as they can. Hida is going to try and make a flank to draw some people away from the left elbow area so that their team can get some purchase in their own space, but we're just not really allowing that. Toady is just kind of moving forward without abandon, just to make sure that the points keep going down, and suddenly we're at 40.
Yeah, and like you said, that was just a really early push, and Toady-chan's team was just ready to push forward and try to take that top left elbow, which they were very successful on, managing to push it down to 36, although currently it is in the favor of Artifice. We're watching as Toady grabs another nice side flank there. Toady was in the bottom right pit earlier, making a very nice jump out there as we watch. Unfortunately, it looks like Liam does go down, but Bake is up and ready. Bake is not giving up. And it looks like, the gal on the side of Artifice goes down. Bake is trying their hardest to, push it back over in their favor. Toady's not able to escape, although as we watch a crab push out from Artifice, Artifice still has it in their favor. It's ticking down from 50. And it looks like a member of Toady-chan did have to jump out. So now we're seeing the complete opposite of what we saw earlier.
Oh, for sure. Now we're going to see a lead swap in favor of Artifice as the points are ticking down. We are going to see a crab from the side of Toady-chan gunning a pick off of the wiper user from Artifice. Beautiful picks all around. Bounce is going to have to try and respawn, and now suddenly we're back at square one once again. Liam is in the elbow area of the Artifice team. They do get honestly a delicious direct on that individual. Liam is just kind of tearing it up on the blaster over here. And, they are still eating through their penalty. They aren't in the lead just yet, but with 2 down from the side of Artifice, it is going to be they're going to have to hurry a little bit if they want to make sure that they're able to prevent a lead swap and get a penalty for Toady-chan, as they are ticking points down currently. But the pencil is up from Artifice. Only Fox is alive, and there's only 20 seconds left. I'm curious to see how this is going to go. We do see the cooler out. 10 seconds left now on the clock as we're just kind of getting into the final throes of the match.
Ooh, that was a very great hammer throw, but unfortunately it wasn't enough for Artifice to push forward. The game does go to Toady-chan. They will be making it back to grand finals to try to win the title once again.
Very strong showing from Toady-chan. I really enjoyed seeing them work together, and honestly, Liam got some pretty sick directs on the blaster. It was so fun to watch. And now, we're in for a treat. We're going to head over to grand finals in just a bit while we get the room up. But, we're going to look over some replays first. We're going to just kind of talk about the match a little bit. I got ahead of myself. But yeah, Artifice fought very hard. I think they are very deserving of I believe it's 3rd place spot. I believe that's what they got. But I think they did a formidable job just kind of creating lockout situations and able to come back from it. And I loved seeing the Kraken just kind of displace every single position that the Toady was able to take.
Absolutely. And I feel like something happened after match one for Tori-chan because, Artifice managed to keep the same amount of pressure as we saw there with Peta's throw, throwing through that wall. That was an insane move, managing to get the Gal player in the side of Tori-chan. But, as we saw, they had a very strong opening. Game two felt a bit more close. And, they managed to take zone over quite a few times in that third match, but there was something that happened, something that clicked for Tori-chan's team. Maybe there was something that they had said between each other. Maybe there was a plan that was put together, but it felt like a complete 180 from their performance in that first match.
I completely agree. And so we are going to be going to a very short break as we get the room all set up. But don't go anywhere. Grand finals for Squid Junction is coming soon, so you don't want to miss it. Welcome back to Squid Junction. My name is Nell and I'm joined with the lovely Lila, and thank you all for sticking around for grand finals. We are going to be seeing Toady-chan versus SHDL. I'm really excited to see how this is gonna go. And yeah, we're in for a treat tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we saw Toady-chan get beat in the winners bracket, but they are back for revenge. It was a very close win in SDHL's part previously, but Toady-chan is currently on the back foot. If I remember correctly, if they win this, they will have to go through a bracket reset.
You are correct. If Toady-chan wins, they will have to force a bracket reset against SHDL. But we'll see if that happens. Toady-chan has been fighting pretty fiercely tonight, so I'm sure that they have it in them to force the bracket reset. We'll just have to see how the games play out. But yeah, so we're going to be opening it up on a classic map mode of Mako Mart zones, and then we're gonna go over to Clamps. And that's not Inkblot, that is Museum, and then we're gonna go over to Tower on Hagglefish. Sorry, my brain is just a little bit scrambly, but I know the maps in this game. But yeah, you know, yeah, Mako Zones. We all love her.
She is the classic, absolutely. I'm just excited to see what both of these teams can push forward. We saw some very interesting comps earlier, but you know, with Toady-chan having such a large roster, it's possible that folks could shift around to cause some confusion on SD or SHDL's side of things. Yeah, just
Yeah, for
excited
sure.
to see what they come up with at this point in time.
I agree. I mean, what we did see in the previous game was, you know, Liam with the blaster going absolutely crazy. And, you know, I wasn't here to commentate SHDL's set, but I know that they are a force to be reckoned with. So whoever wins this set will have a very, very formidable result, regardless of who wins. So we are getting into it. We're going to the first game in best of 5 winners grand finals. We are seeing an Octo Brush from the side of, SHDL. I believe that they have been playing that all night. I'm not too sure, but I am very happy to see it. Let's see how things play out as both teams are just kind of fighting in mid, trying to get specials out as quickly as possible. Knowing the Splash-O-Matic, we are going to be seeing a crab out very shortly, if not immediately.
Absolutely, and you know, we did see Dat Kid switch back and forth between Inkbrush and Octobrush. Although it looks like they're opting for Inkbrush at this point in time. You know, as I say that, we're watching as they manage to jump out safely. Unfortunately, a member on SHDL goes down. 2 members, including their backliner. We're watching as Synapse here is trying to save as much space as possible, but is a 2v1. Synapse makes a very safe jump out. We're watching as Dat Kids trying to bring Toady back into their base, but they're not very successful right now. They do have a Zip Caster up at the ready. It's possible that they could make a pretty nice play here, but it looks like their backliner is down, so they're kind of on the back foot, trying to just preserve it at this point.
For sure, SHDL is on the back foot currently as Toady-chan is in the lead, and it looks like SHDL just keeps getting picked off to a bunch of different things. We do see, I believe that's Y, or maybe it's a V, I think it's Y, dropping down from their very formidable spot on the plat of SHDL. That is going to lead to them getting back in there with a cooler at the ready and a Ultra Stamp at the ready as well. They are definitely going to need to give Toady-chan a penalty in order to continue to have some points on the board, but not if Toady-chan has anything to do with it. Their points are ticking down. We are seeing it go down to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and the game does go to Toady-chan. That was a very quick game.
Yeah, I maybe perhaps it's just SHDL, you know, trying to warm up again after that bit of a break, but I really think that it's Toady-chan being out for blood. They are back with a, you know, a very strong aggressive stance. They aren't backing down. They want to get this win. Just as you said earlier, why with those crabs once again? We saw some pretty aggressive crabs earlier, just being placed in very interesting spots, as in that top right-hand corner. This is an interesting song. Pardon me, I got very distracted there watching as Y was up there. They just weren't letting up. SHDL didn't have that opportunity to set up as they have in previous matches. But next, we're going to be seeing Clam Blitz on Museum. So it's possible for SHDL to come back.
For sure. I mean, they've been waiting for a while. It's possibly they weren't as warm as Toady-chan was, like you said, or maybe it was because, Toady's very hungry for the win. But we'll see as we get into Clams on a Museum. This map, it is either a stalemate or it goes very quickly. But considering these two teams, I'm guessing that it's going to be a stalemate of some sort, just because both teams are very formidable opponents to each other. I'm curious to see how the Zipcaster, if they are going to bring that out, the Zipcaster Octobrush, if they'll come back. This map does have a lot of very strong Zipcaster locations that they could take advantage of. So we are not going to have to figure that out any further. We are going right into Game 2, Clam Blitz. I keep forgetting the name of this map.
Ooh.
Museum. And that's the ink brush.
The ink brush, yeah. Okay, and we're seeing a stamp from Liam off of this Sea Blast. That's an interesting pick. I haven't seen Liam on the stamp before. Looks like there's not too much of a change here. Synapse back on the 96 deco. Synapse is formidable with that wall, and as I say that, they get a very early pick on Liam here.
For sure, we do see a cooler come out for the side of SHDL as they are able to kind of get their push up and running. We do see a crab from the side of Toady-chan trying to prevent any type of push that is going to happen. Liam on the stamper, trying to get a pick, unable to find anything. 2 down from the side of Toady-chan. SHDL does have a power claim at the ready, and they are able to break the barrier very quickly, getting some points on the board, only getting it up to about 71. However, Toady-chan is in a staggered state right now as we just keep seeing people being displaced. And I mean, they are continuing to keep the basket open all the way down to 56. Only 2 are up right now, and we see the ink brush user just kind of having to go away from the basket, unfortunately. But Toady-chan is still in this endless stagger, even though the basket is closed, and we will need to get some time to open it back up again. Look at the amount of the clam. Look at the clam economy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did see earlier that kid has kind of been the nightmare on the side of Toady-chan, just getting in there, doing that brush cheese. We're watching as that kid pushes up again, opening up that barrier. Synapse is quick to shoot in a bunch of clams and then immediately pop that Kraken. Henlo has just been a really great addition, protecting, I believe that's Lexi here on the pen. They've been a really good combo. As I say that, Henlo goes down. I'm so sorry, Henlo. Liam is out for blood, managing to grab Lexi, although there's only 7 points left for SHDL pushing forward. The basket does look like it's going to be closing, although there's 3 minutes left on the clock here, so it's anyone's game.
For sure, but that is an incredibly strong lead here with only 3 minutes left in the match. Beautiful pick from Liam on Henlo there with the stamper. SHDL does go 3 down, and this is Toady-chan's opportunity to get some points on the board, and they are absolutely wasting no time getting clams in the basket. We do see a Zipcaster at the ready, and we're getting multiple power claims in, but with only 1 left alive, I don't think they're going to be able to do the lead swap here as they do get picked off, making a delayed wipe for Toady-chan, but they do get the score down to 13.
Yeah, that kid unfortunately does get taken out as they're running in, trying to sneak some clams over towards the side of SHDL. Toady-chan just really wanted that opportunity to clap back, and they managed to grab it. As you said, both teams really do have an amazing clam economy. Looks like, I'm not sure who Lana is, but whoever they are, they're just not afraid of getting up and making a mess on the side of SHDL. Henlo here pushing forward, aggressive with their stamper. They have it ready here. They aren't able to pop it, but they managed to take out 2 as I say that. Wow, that was a really great move on their part there.
For sure, with 2 down on the side of SHDL and almost a delayed wipe there. We are just seeing the SHDL get into a staggered state as Todi-chan is pressing forward. They only have 1 power clam at the ready. It's not enough to get through their entire penalty. They are going to need to find some clams somewhere in order to make a possible lead swap, but not if Henlo has anything to do with it. They are trying their best to prevent anybody from pushing forward. We do see Todi-chan, they will have to back up just a little bit because they unfortunately just didn't have the clam economy to, do a lead swap. However, there is a strong chunk out of their penalty that is going to give them a lot of ease next time they do have a push that's going to come soon. But with 1 minute left, it's really anybody's game.
Yeah, as you said that, I believe that was a little bit of a hasty move on the side of Todi-chan, because they didn't manage to break through their penalty. And, as we've seen, SHGL is just great on the defense, managing to grab Y off of Todi-chan's side. It's a trade for trade here as we're watching, but Todi-chan is increasingly pushing forward, trying their best, pushing their luck. Oh gosh, that was a really great pick there, Pen versus Pen, and looks like Lexi manages to escape. Oh gosh, yeah, looks like Y does go down there from a stray bomb. Dat Kid trading. Although there is a power clam on the side of Todi-chan, there's only 30 seconds left, so Todi-chan is really feeling, the pressure here, trying to push forward. Todi off of Todi-chan pushes forward, manages to open up the basket. They do have the clan economy, but it's just a question of whether or not they can get up there. Y managing to grab some very important picks, but oh gosh, no, it looks like they're not going to be able to make it in. That is a wipeout. There's still 8 seconds left on the clock. It's possible that they could make it back if they're able to scramble together a power clam at the last second. As I say that, that's game.
Oh my gosh, I was on the edge of my seat for that entire game. I feel like, oh my goodness. They were so close to being able to take the lead multiple times. They were just a few clams short each time. That was Todi-chan, but wow, SHDL, they were back, and they were back heads in the game. They're like, okay, the first match was a fumble, but we got this now. And it was very strong. I will have to give credit where credit was due. Todi-chan's push, bringing them down to 13, was very formidable. I feel like the clams just kept coming in from nowhere, but it was just so unfortunate to see that 3 go down and the final jump being camped. It was just the most unfortunate thing. But yeah, it's making it a beautiful 1-1 for this best of 5 set.
Yeah, we saw some really great plays from Synapse, especially, just having that wall and Kraken combo at the ready. SHGL, they were a little bit worried there for a second, but they really locked in and managed to make it, their game. And of course, we will have to see who gets it next, though, on Tower Control Haggle, which, as some may say, it can be snowbally at points in time. I personally predict that Dat Kid will be making some very, very fun flanks with either the Octobrush or the Ink Brush. As we saw earlier, Dat Kid was just a really strong pushing force on clams, but that unfortunately is the last clams match in this specific set. So we'll just have to see how they do otherwise.
For sure. And so, I like Hagglefish. I think it's a very classic map for Splatoon 3. You can't really do a lot of cheese with it, but we are going to see Dat Kid try with the brush. Oh, wait, they're coming out with the Nautilus. A huge win for Not Nation. Hashtag Not Nation. I love Nautilus. Very happy to see a Splatling on the team. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what the game plan is and what they're going to try and do. It is the splashdown variant of the Nautilus, so I do expect them to be very aggressive and just kind of trying to take advantage of, attention being on them. So, one artist down from Todi-chan, unfortunately, as the tower is kind of just being crept little by little forwards. Nobody's in the lead just yet. We are seeing just the beginning picks come out as the game starts off, and Synapse does get a pick and does go into Kraken, managing to snipe Tony out of the air mid-super jump, allowing their team to push forward and get some points on the board.
Yeah, that was a staggered quad that we watched from Synapse, grabbing those first 2, getting another with the Kraken, and then, getting a final one there. That was a very great move, although it looks like, as I say that, Synapse is down. There is a hammer coming out from Henlo. It does miss, unfortunately, but Henlo is not giving up, and as they see it looks like Y managed to take them out. This is a very strong back and forth as we're watching Liam push forward with that triple splashdown. 3 are down on the side of SHDL. It's Henlo versus Liam. Henlo wins out. A quarter to Hammer, although, so we won't be seeing a Hammer yet. A crab comes out from Y. Y is up in a very advantageous spot. Unfortunately, they do get taken out there. Liam's set up on the bottom left-hand side, you know, underneath that glass. That's the last place that you want a blaster to be. There's so much going on at this point in time.
I completely agree. We are in the throes of it. We do see a lead swap to Toady-chan as they are able to get the tower through that checkpoint here, making it quite easy to move forward in the future if they are able to push it again that far. We do see SHDL trying to get it back into mid here. Splashdown does come out from the side of SHDL and getting a pick. And, you know, a lot of stuff is happening. We do see Gray up here trying to, you know, sit on the tower and get it through the checkpoint themselves. There is a crab on the glass, but it is going to get canceled out and picked off from Synapse. We do see a lead swap with 2 down from the side of Toady-chan, and this is just looking really nice for SHDL.
So after looking at the Sundu roster, Lana Del Rey might be Hershey. I did not expect that. As I say that, you know, we've been seeing looks like Hershey and Lexi go back and forth. The pen battle is real. Henlo pops off the hammer, not grabbing anybody, but it doesn't matter because they managed to smack Liam out of existence. We're watching as Lexi's trying their best to make it back to mid, but Hershey is currently on tower. The cooler is out. Toady-chan is ready to make that clap back. Lexi is trying their hardest to, you know, protect their teammates, which they managed to be fairly successful. And Lexi and Synapse have just been a really great duo here, I'd say.
For sure, and I do want to mention, but not, since everybody has like aliases and different names, but Gray is actually the person that is the pencil user that we are seeing right now, and Lexi is not playing. But you know, it's difficult to tell sometimes with the amount of silly little names that we see all over the place, but we do see Henlo trying to get a scamper pick, unfortunately getting canceled out by Toady. There's 2 minutes left in the match, and SHDL is in a strong lead here. Hershey is trying to get some picks, unable to find anything, and that kid is representing Not Nation over here on the left side. They will have to back up and kind of just retake it, but overall, just a pretty stalematy match so far as we're just kind of fighting aimlessly in the mid here.
Yeah, there's about 1:20 left on the clock here. SHDL is in the lead. They're in a pretty advantageous spot, but they're not going to let up that pressure just because of that. We're watching as Henlo's taking a 2v1. They managed to escape with their life. Oh gosh, and it looks like they dragged down Liam with them. Synapse, although, does get taken out as well as Henlo. This is the, you know, the double that Toady-chan is looking for. Y manages to grab the soda as they push all the way back to mid. Looks like they really needed that soda. Liam fighting a 2v1, but they do get taken out here. We're watching as Hershey manages to grab, oh gosh, Hershey grabs that kid, but then goes down.
It's just fighting all over the place.
There's a bloodbath happening in mid.
Oh my goodness, it is just fighting, and there's 30 seconds left on the board. It was looking pretty good for Toady-chan to make some form of contesting push. We are seeing that come back here. There is a crab on the tower. We do see Cooler come out from the side of SHDL. They are prepared to make a push here. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little confused with my team. So much is happening right now. 3 go down from the side of Toady-chan. It's just Toady left from the side of Toady-chan, and they do go down. That is a delayed wipe, and we just see everything happening all at once. The tower is going back to neutral. It's back in the favor of Toady-chan. We see a last-ditch effort hammer throw, and it does manage to pick the person off the tower. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Henlo just said, you know, I think we're done now. I think that's it. That was the throw and then immediate grab. That was a great move on Henlo's part of things. That was awesome to watch.
Henlo was incredibly confident that they were able to get the pick, and they did get the pick. They're like, I know where you're gonna be, so I'm just gonna throw it where they're gonna be. But yeah, so honestly, very chaotic game, if I have to say anything. I think it was very fun to watch, but I could barely keep up with what was happening. It was very fast-paced, very bloodthirsty. teams wasted no time trying to take advantageous positions, and in the blink of an eye, the other team is pushing already. It's really fun to watch, very close as well, but the win is going to go to SHDL, as we're seeing in the replay. They did make their tower push all the way up to 15.
Yeah, that was a very back and forth. I wouldn't say snowbally, but it was definitely very back and forth. We saw some pretty great plays from both of the teams, but we are back to technically square one in a way, because we're back to splat zones, and we're going to be seeing umami splat zones, of which is always chaotic. Having that split zone is just a nightmare for some, and it's a favorite for others. I expect to see a lot of fights happening on that middle fin. We might see some pretty interesting plays from Liam. I was really caught off guard from Dat Kid playing Nautilus, just because, I watched that previous set that Dat Kid was in, and we did not see a Nautilus at all. So I'm not confident in anything that he plays anymore. But we'll just have to see.
I love the surprise Nautilus user, and I will say, there's contesting on whether it is Gray or Lexi. We don't know. Well, I don't know. it's somebody on the pen. Somebody's on the pen and playing
Yay!
the pen. Yeah. So
Yeah.
whoever it is, regardless, the game is playing.
Ooh, yeah, that was a nice double there. Although there are 2 for 2 at this point in time. Looks like SHDL does have the zone, although whoever this pen player is, whoever they may be, did just pop off their cooler. They lose control, but it's not too far. Oh my gosh, that was is this a pseudo wipe? It's not a pseudo wipe.
I love
There's so much happening.
I love
Splashdown.
Yeah, he's Nautilus. Yeah, he's Splashdown. There's no Nautilus. I'm sorry, I need to lock in. I was thinking of Subway Surfers in my head. Okay, we need to lock in. Henlo is on the right side of the zone, just kind of sharking around, trying to get something to happen. We do see Harshi over here with the pencil, trying to get something happening. We do see a cooler out. People have a cooler. They're going up. The Kraken's here. We're doing our best.
Yeah, Tony-chan really is on the they're the underdogs at this point in time, because it's like they just keep trying to push forward in cap zone, but every time whoever this pen player is just caps it back in their favor. SHDL is not letting up, and Tony-chan unfortunately does have 2 down. We're watching as, oh gosh, that is a whale aimed on the ink rail. 20 seconds are left, sorry, on the counter here. Tony-chan has to make a move now, otherwise, this is... I believe that this might be game point.
This is absolutely game point if they do not get the zone right there. All right, and SHDL does take the game 3-1. I sincerely apologize for the confusion in whoever that person is. I believe that it is Lexi, but congratulations to SHDL. You guys did great. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they really locked in. Nice fist bump there from Dat Kid and the questionable pen player. Yeah, Tony-chan really, they really made their way back up. But again, whatever happened there, SHGL was just not letting up, and they did want to prove that they are correctly seeded. So hopefully we do get to see these 2 teams go head to head in the future. But looks like there will be no bracket reset at this point in time.
For sure. I will, give credit to where credit is due. Tony-chan did fight incredibly hard through losers bracket all the way to get back here, and they did a very formidable job. Very strong showing from both teams and everybody here over at Squid Junction. But yeah, congratulations to SHDL, and thank you for watching this lovely little tournament. But before we skedaddle on out of here, where can the lovely people find you, Lila?
I am at Lila Lychee on Blue Sky and YouTube. Where can they find you, Nell?
They can find me at Nellfire with a 1 on Blue Sky and Twitch. So I do live stream sometimes, but yeah, thank you once again for watching our little silly commentary set. We hope to see you in, I believe it's the next 2 weeks for another Squid Junction right around the corner. But in the meantime, thank you for watching and stay squiddy.